Hello. Good
Right there, mate.
afternoon, everybody. We are live and we've got Kuva99 in the house. I'm very excited to have Kuva on. He doesn't mind speaking his mind. How are you, brother?
I'm good here, thanks, Savva. How about yourself, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I've had worse days. So yeah, all is good. Just having a lunch break and thought, let's talk about football. Let's why not? It's what we do
How can
for
you
a living.
avoid it, mate? How can you avoid it?
Listen, so much has happened already. It's Wednesday. Spurs fans are losing their mind with delirium. So let's jump straight in, Kuva. Look, yesterday morning, all the news broke. Funnily enough, it wasn't from the likes of Ali Gold. It wasn't from the likes of Dan Kilpatrick. It was actually proper news. Sky Sports, for example, came up with it. Kuva, talk to me. Yves Bissouma, Premier League. I don't want to say veteran. He's not that old, but Premier League experienced. Every time he plays us, I feel like he dominates the park. Talk to me about this as a signing and an intent from Tottenham.
I think the easiest way to start off is, who did I used to admire other than Spurs when I was growing up? The team to really emulate was Liverpool.
Right.
What Liverpool always did, every season, they would sign the player that gave them the most problems that season. The likes of John Barnes springs to mind instantly.
Yeah.
What has Yves Bissouma done with us? He's dismantled us both times. He's dominated the entire midfield. We've got him now. Looks like we're getting him anyway. Until he holds the shirt up, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, if this goes ahead, this is a big statement. This is the man that was definitely causing us problems. He was doing it to many other teams as well. He's the engine room of that Brighton midfield, without doubt. He's got pace. He's not so much pace, but he's got power. He's got so much strength to hold people off. He tackles. He intercepts the ball well. He reads the game well. Bit of everything. He's the closest we've come to replacing Mousa Dembele so far.
I tell you what, Kuva, I keep hearing that. And that's the interesting thing for me is I truly believe that since that kind of Dembele, Wanyama pivot, I believe we call it these days in football, or what me and you probably refer to as midfield. Since that midfield, I don't believe we've had really good central midfielders. I think we've had players that do a job. For example, I think Højbjerg does a job. I think he's a good player. He does a job. I think Bentancur, again, another one who I put in that category. I get carried away. He's a good player. But what does he bring then that we haven't been able to with Højbjerg, Bentancur, Winks, Skip, Ndombele, Lo Celso, Sissoko? What's he got then that the last 8 or 9 central midfielders have not got?
Well, the most obvious thing for me is his immense strength on the ball and off the ball. Højbjerg, I mean, we've had this conversation with so many people before. I mean, I know the likes of Ellie, the queen of the Tottenham Hotspur, as we like to call her in many circles online. She's a big fan of Højbjerg. So have so many other people. The problem I've always had with him, I think he's easily upgradable. He's not a great footballer, but he's good. He doesn't cause us problems. But he fits in, does a job, like you say.
Yeah,
but Bissouma is a step up. If you notice with Højbjerg, he can be knocked off the ball. Sometimes he'll tackle somebody and it's ineffective. They'll bounce off him. He's not a powerful player. He's an annoying sort of insect player. He's just constantly buzzing around, which is great. If you're pressing, it's a great attribute to have. But Bissouma, it's a tank hitting you, or you're bouncing off a tank. You're not getting the ball off him like that. You can't out-muscle him. It's a big attribute to have. Dembele could do that with ooze that sort of strength on the ball.
He was class, wasn't he?
Absolutely. One of the problems we've had in the last few years is giving the ball away so cheaply in the dangerous areas. This is a good step to eradicating that. And if you've got that kind of solidity in the front of your defence as well, the defence improves so much more as well. But Bissouma's got so much more to his game as well. He picks out passes well. He's capable of chipping in with goals when needed. He's got a bit of everything. He's a really exciting player to have on the books. So if this goes ahead, it is a big statement of intent, because there will be lots of other clubs that will have been eyeing him and thinking he'd do us really well. You look at that lot, that stupid lot from Woolwich for a start. I mean, them having
we're gonna talk about them and their transfer strategy in a bit. Don't worry about that.
Strategy. Prayers, I think it is.
Do you know what, right? I look at this and I think to myself, look, I have to be honest. I'm always honest, as you know. It's got me in so much trouble in the past. But look, I don't like our owners, right? I don't like the way they've gone about things the last 21 years. However, this was the first time, I think, in a really, really, really long time. I might even be going back 15, 20 years that I've looked and gone, oh, right, okay. Right, we're serious. You know, we're actually making a signing now. Not someone from abroad who'll need time to settle in. Not a 19-year-old. Not the next generational talent who's brilliant on FIFA. But we've actually brought in a bloke that's dominated midfields, playing in the Premier League week in, week out. So I'm going to put my hands up and say fair play to Levy, fair play to Paratici, fair play to Enoch. This is a great sign. But the question I'm going to ask you is, are we seeing a change in direction here? Or I'm just playing devil's advocate before anyone shouts at me. Or are we seeing that this was just a really easy opportunity because it was a bloke with 1 year left and we're an obvious step up? Discuss.
Right, well, it's a long conversation, this one, isn't it? I agree with you. It's been a long time since we've seen this kind of promising, at least start to the window. Let's not get carried away yet. Nothing's concrete yet, and we don't know how the rest of it turns out yet. But let's go with a bit of optimism, because we've got to, mate. We've got to at some point. This has been one we've been discussing for a long time about, has Conte and the Paratici effect, has it finally changed Daniel Levy's approach to backroom staff, the way the club, football inside of the club is run? And these are promising signs that it might have.
Yeah.
No longer just about getting the promising youngster, it's about getting the experienced player in. I mean, Perisic, what a signing that is. I mean, grumpy old Arsenal fans will be saying, oh, no, he's a bit old anyway. But they wanted him. They would have loved him.
Yeah. We've got Martinelli. We don't need Perisic, that type of
Yeah. They'll sign Peter Cech and David Luiz.
They're going to sign everyone from the Soccer Aid game the other night, like Cafu and Roberto Carlos, who looks like he can't even walk anymore. But yeah. Sorry, go on.
Absolutely. But it's this definite sense of something is changing somewhere. I mean, if you go back, I've been supporting since 76.
Cool.
When I was 5 years old, my dad took me to the first game against Southampton. Didn't know much about the football. I just remember really enjoying being in the crowd and cheering when everybody else did. It's fun. It just is, isn't it? As soon as you got the bug, as you know, as soon as you got the bug, you can't get rid of it. So in all that time, I got to see the 80s where we had some fantastic songs.
Keep talking for me 1 minute, mate. Keep talking. I knew.
So we had the 80s where we're fantastic sides coming out of the Keith Birkinshaw period, a couple of FA Cups, UEFA Cup. And that was coming on the back of a little bit earlier, but you had obviously Bill Nick's side that sort of spilled over into the 70s, and the likes of Steve Perryman came through that period, took us into the 80s. We saw success. We saw how teams would win. We saw a bit of grit, a bit of flair. It was all mixed up. And then even into the 90s, when Alan Sugar saved the club, which he did, whatever anybody says about him, that's a fact. He did save the club.
Yeah.
One thing Sugar did do was dip his hand into his wallet, and he came out with these big signings. If anybody my age or going back a while, anybody remembers the signing of Jurgen Klinsmann, it was mind-blowing. Oh. It was absolute. It was like, you what? I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
I know.
And there he was. And it was like, wow. And
the thing is, a lot of younger fans, apologies about that. It's the fiance's birthday today. And in true style, I get a message this morning saying the delivery is going to be between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. and 1:15. I just knew it. Apologies. Kuva, just two things really quickly. Just before we go on Klinsmann, just want to say I'm very interactive with the audience. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's come in. Lots of the usual regulars like Aditya, Full Ball, Luan, Hasper, Paul, K1. Sorry if I haven't read your name out. I will get to loads of comments, so feel free to get questions in. I just want to get kick-start into the show. But thank you very much. You've all got me to just below 900. So I'm about 120 off of the big 1K. And don't forget, once I do get to the big 1K, I will give away a pair of Tottenham tickets to every home league game. That's just the horrible bloke I am. So I'll give those away for free. So Kuva, just tell some of the younger people in the group, because I'm very quick to have a go at some of the younger fans. And I think sometimes I forget it's not their fault they haven't seen who they haven't seen. Just tell them, how good was Jurgen Klinsmann? Like what type of, at that time, signing him, what that statement was and how good Klinsmann was.
You've got to put him up in the same bracket of the likes of Messi, Ronaldo, Lewandowski. He was like the best of the best. He was like globally recognized as one of the elite strikers in the world. It was just an incredible signing. You wouldn't, you literally not in a million years would you dream it happening. And there he was. So we have had that in our past with big name signings. It was always Spurs. We used to be the Jackbook Club, signing Jimmy Greaves for world records back in the 60s as well.
Yeah.
It's gone on. Now, this is my gripe with Levy, and it always has been. It's not that he doesn't spend money. It's how he's run the rest of it. It's how he's settled for mediocre management. He's settled for mediocre players coming through the door, speculative punts on young players, hoping their value improves, hoping to do a Chelsea and sort of buy for 20 million, sell them on for 40 million. Trouble is, we don't have Chelsea's reputation of winning stuff, so it doesn't work. Players don't come on and have that instant sell-on value. So we get a Jack Clark instead, or we get a Brian Hill. I mean, Hill maybe turns out to be a good player or not. I don't think he's going to play for us.
No, I can't see it either.
I'll see the same again with this young lad from France.
Papa
Sarr. It's another typical one of those signings to me.
So,
are we seeing the change of that? Now we're getting some established players on. Bissouma, we know he's been around several seasons in the Prem, can do it. Perisic, proven at the world stage, superb players. Let's just see if this keeps going. Even Fraser Forster, to a lot of people, he's not an impressive signing. It's like, a good backup. To me, I remember when he burst onto the scene in the Premiership with Southampton, he was sensational. He was one of the best goalkeepers in the world at that point, in my opinion. He was absolute dynamite. I thought they got the bargain of the century. He's gone off the boil a bit since then, but it's still there within him somewhere, I think. So as backup, and not just backup to Hugo, but push Hugo a little bit. He's got He's got that sort of physical size and an ability to actually push himself into the team if he really fancies it. If he gets his bit between his teeth.
Doesn't it also mean that if Hugo is injured, that all of a sudden we're not having those heart palpitations of thinking, oh my God, is Galini going to play? You know what? Like, no offense. Apparently, he had a wonderful charisma and personality around Tottenham, Galini. But let's be fair, right? We're a football club. We're not. This isn't a high school where you've got a personality competition going on. This is
exactly. Do you want a goalkeeper or do you want Jimmy Carr in the dressing room?
Both.
Get Jimmy Carr in goal instead of Galini.
You get some good one-liners. So let me ask then, Kuva. Look, again, for me, people always say, who was the best signing you've made? Who was the last signing that made you go, wow? And people bring up Modric, Berbatov, Bale, all of these players. They weren't the players they were before we bought them. Yeah, they were all good players, but they weren't what they went on to be or what they were at Spurs. So I always go back to Jurgen Klinsmann. And I remember, obviously this was the days well before social media and internet and this kind of stuff. And I remember it was the summer holidays. I'd been out to play on my bike. You know when you're a kid, now they just play PlayStation. Back then it was, here's £2, there's your bike, F off for the day, come back when it's dark, that kind of thing. Yep. And I remember coming back in, and I always used to race in. I put teletext on, to see what was going on, and they'd have all the transfers like there, and it was Spurs sign Jurgen Klinsmann, and then I remember putting the BBC News on, and in the sports segment, which was 30 seconds, just this picture of Jurgen Klinsmann on Alan Sugar's yacht, and it was like this. I just remember being so happy and amazed because we'd just seen the '94 World Cup, we'd seen him at the '90 World Cup, and I've not had that feeling since then. Now, does this signing, for me, it's not that level, but it is in the right direction, right?
Absolutely. It's not somebody you've got doubts about, is it, Bissouma?
Right.
You know he's going to slot in. You know he's going to do a job.
Yeah.
And for me and for a lot of other people, he's a direct upgrade to what we currently got on the first team. As said, for me, he's to really go ahead of Højbjerg at the moment. Højbjerg's going to have to try and push himself back into the team and all come in whenever he's needed. It's a rotational system, no problem. Don't have to worry about Højbjerg. He's decent. He's a good player. He'll come and do his job when he needs to. Sometimes we might even need to beef the midfield up with all three of them in there. Some people really want to turn up the aggression levels like Villa did.
That's one thing I wanted to talk to you about, mate, and it leads on nicely because what I see with a lot of people is everyone thinks they're Antonio Conte, right? Everyone turns around and goes, "Oh, well, we'll never do that because Conte never does that." But surely the point of building a squad and getting into Champions League and having lots of players with different skill sets is it allows you to be flexible. Now, granted, Conte's not going to move away from the wing-backs, granted. But what he does have option to do is, right, I don't need to play the three up front today. I'm going to play two up front and three in midfield, or two up front and one behind the striker. Or I'm just going to go 4-3-1-1, 5-3-1-1. How important is that? How much have we missed that for God, I'm going to say decades? I can't remember the last time we had a squad where you could rotate and change formations.
It's all about getting the players that are flexible, versatile in the positions. I mean, for me, there's always been a sort of a niceness about signing players from the Eredivisie, particularly the likes of Ajax, because of the way they're brought up, their footballing education. They might be a wing back, but they will have started off at centre half. They'll have had some time in defensive midfield positions, or even attacking midfield positions. They'll get to know the roles on everywhere around the pitch. So even if they're not playing in that role, they know what that player is going to be doing.
Yeah,
I love that kind of versatility. That's why, I mean, Jan Vertonghen and Toby together. I mean, don't need to talk about how good a footballing centre-back pairing they were.
Oh, it was embarrassing.
Their understanding of all the roles around them was just supreme.
Yeah. So that's what I feel we need to create all over the pitch, Kuva, right? I feel like, look, I'm in complete agreement that football is a squad game, and I've always said that. However, I do feel there are certain places in the park where when you go to those big games, managers will always go, like Pep, rotates. The big game, same with Klopp, the big games, that 11. You know that in the big games, he trusts Mahrez, he trusts Foden. It's going to be De Bruyne, Rodri, and Silva. It's Stones, Laporte and Diaz. So that's where I think we need to get to, right? And are we working towards that? Is that what you can see by bringing in a player like Bissouma alongside Højbjerg, alongside Bentancur, alongside Skip?
Yeah, it's I think Pochettino loved to do this as well. First of all, get the core of the team really sorted out. And Bissouma is part of that, very much so. We already know Kane and Son are going to start. We know Kulusevski's going to start. That those three have become, linchpins of the attacking play, our attacking play. I mean, people might say, get a right winger and replace Kulusevski even. If you can find somebody better than him, great, bring him in. Have a bit of competition, bit of rotation, it's all good. But absolutely, as you said, you've got to have quality coming in all the time. It's no good what we always used to do and get mediocre players in just to buff up the squad size. The size of the squad doesn't matter. You've got to have the quality improving constantly. Absolutely. And that is what Conte's all about. Never settle for just average. You've got to keep pushing forward, got to keep improving on it. Even if it's little steps at a time, just keep adding to it. The players that go out of the team drop onto the bench, you've then got a strong bench. The ones coming off the bench into back of the squad, if they're causing you no problems, no problem, hang on to them. There's the likes of that. I mean, people slag off Davinson Sanchez all the time. You know, maybe he's not been the greatest for us, but he hasn't.
I'm guilty of that. I do slag him off. Sorry,
he hasn't caused us problems though. He doesn't. You know, he doesn't cause sort of fractures within the team off the pitch and things like that. It's gets on with his job sort of thing. And you know, even at the end of the season, he actually did quite well coming in when he had to. So I've got no problem seeing it. He goes down the pecking order, of course, but because we're bringing in much better quality players. Sadly, for the likes of him, he hasn't been good enough.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think what for me, what I've always said, I think Spurs need to do, and I think what a manager like Conte does, is it's that ruthless nature. You know, one of the things I keep seeing, whether I'm on my show, someone else's show, is this kind of this thirst for keeping players that haven't performed. It's this kind of really romantic notion. That, I know, I know he's not done well, but you know, he smiles a lot and he's really nice and he brings his kids on the pitch. Like if we're talking about someone like Lucas Moura, right? And you know, Bergwijn, you know, he's a good player, and it's all the managers we've had. It's all four of their fault. Do you think there's going to be any of that sentimentality from Conte over the next couple of years, or do you think this guy's going to be like Klopp and Pep, and it's going to be ruthless, not good enough, out the door?
Ruthless. It's got to be. You can't win unless you're ruthless.
Right.
You can apply that to the business world as well. There's no billionaire that's made their money without being an absolute ruthless bastard. You do that as a football manager as well. You have to. You cannot be sentimental. If a player if a player becomes one of your favoured ones, it should be because they consistently perform at their peak for you, and it's what you need in the team. The likes of Kane has done it for multiple managers. Didn't have his greatest of seasons last season, but he finished pretty strongly. Or at least he had a good purple patch in the middle where it got us a lot of points. Him and Sonny linking up again as usual. You've got to get players in that just know what they're doing. I mean, there was an old, I think it was Bill Shankly said, "Just get me 11 players that hate losing, and I'll give you a championship."
Yeah.
I would go a little bit further on that. Say, get me 11 players that are intelligent, technically able, and hate losing. That's what we need at the moment. And we do not have that in our players.
I was thinking about this the other day, right? So I was sitting around with a couple of guys in their mid-60s. So obviously they were talking about some football even beyond my old years. And one of the things they were talking about was Jack Charlton as a manager. And Jack Charlton, as a manager, apparently used to turn around to his players and go, right. He went, centre-backs, give the ball to the full-backs. Full-backs, your job, give the ball to the wingers. Wingers, get down the line, cross it in for those two up front. And central midfielders just run around. It was just like, I don't know what's happened. Like football, it feels like we've become so, I get it. Football's, you know, the world's changed. People are athletic. But don't you think sometimes football gets really overcomplicated by fans? Like trying to talk about double pivots and does this person work well tracking back and have we come so far away from that now that this whole kind of ruthless nature of players that can't do that are loved and adored? And I'll just tag on just quickly at the end. Let's take Dele Alli as the example. Dele Alli was someone that didn't work hard, was someone that wasn't good at passing, and there was someone that burst onto the scene and gave us loads of goals, but about 4 years ago, and yet we were crying and crying and crying for, oh my God, if we let him go, we'll really regret it. I mean, the only thing we're regretting is we haven't made a penny out of him. Is there too much of that? Too much sentimentality?
Absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, the one that drives me absolutely spare is this religious look at formation. It's football's not like that. You're not like table football and everybody's on a pole in the same position. I mean, again, it comes back to Ajax, the old Cruyff system. Three defenders, 7 attackers.
Yeah,
That's how you have to look at it. There's fluidity, the people changing positions the whole time. That's why you want the intelligent footballers in there. If anything, I hate to have to quote this bloke, but Arsene Wenger said it. You shouldn't have to tell the players what to do all the time. Sometimes you just prepare them mentally and say, go out and play.
Yeah.
They will sort themselves out because they know what they're doing.
Absolutely. This is what makes me laugh. Yeah. That I keep hearing like, oh, well, you know, we bought this player to play right back and pushing him into right wing back. It's alien to him. Right. Let's break this down, right? I get it. Right wing back's different to right back. But essentially, it's you 10 yards, 15 yards further that way, right? If we've got players that aren't intelligent enough to do that, then they shouldn't be in our squad anyway. That's how I see it. Second of all, again, I'll pick on Dele Alli here because I just couldn't stand him towards the end of his time with us. I kept hearing, oh, well, Dele was played centre mid and he's not a centre mid. And Dele was played as a striker and he's not a striker. And Dele was played this, Dele was played that. My point is, right, just because you play out of position, as a footballer, you shouldn't suddenly forget how to control a ball. You don't suddenly forget how to pass a ball 5-10 yards. You don't forget how to dribble, right? All of this. So, again, this is a really bad example, but like, for example, when I was watching a charity game and I watched them chuck Berbatov on at centre-half, I just thought, he's not going to have gone, oh, I can't do that. Right, I'm a footballer. Get the ball down. And I feel like we give so many excuses to so many poor players. So my question off the back of that is, how many of these players do you think we're going to be able to shift out in this window? And who do you think they're going to be to allow for the 55 players apparently we're signing?
There's some that will just run their course still. There's the likes of Harry Winks. So he's not going to recapture that form he had against Real Madrid. I mean, that's wishful thinking at his height. And Ndombele has to go no matter what. He's just plain toxic. I don't think anybody can surely be arguing the case for him to stay now.
Well, you say that. In one of my Spurs WhatsApp groups yesterday, I saw somebody say they put a screenshot from a Twitter post and it said, shh, don't say it too loudly, but a Bissouma Ndombele double pivot. And I thought, oh my God, we've not learned, have we? We honestly have fans that can't understand why Ndombele has not worked out at Tottenham Hotspur. They don't get it.
Which match was it? The FA Cup game with his slow walk that finally where you saw Conte and the fans in unison turning on Ndombele as he trudged off. It was the FA Cup game against this last season.
Last season? Was it? Oh, was it Morecambe?
Yeah, well, I think it might be.
Was it like in the third round against Morecambe?
Yeah, where he's getting substituted and he's just slowly plodding off, and like people are trying to shove him off. You can see Conte's lost his rag. The fans are going mental at him. He was finished right there. He will never kick a ball for us again. Anybody that would watch that would realise that you can't mistake that kind of body language.
No,
that was just end of his Spurs career.
What do you make of him? And Ndombele, I mean, look, we can all see we know what he's not good at, but as a footballer, there's talent there, right? But we can't for years and years on end keep saying there's a player there, can we?
It's kind of very loosely. You kind of equate it to the tortoise and the hare story, don't you?
Just quickly. Bigging up Will from the United States. It must be about 7 a.m. or something like that over there, mate.
8:30, yeah.
8:30. Okay, good. You brushed your teeth and had a shower and all that kind of stuff?
I have. I've actually been up for a few hours. So.
Good man. Will, I'm going to bring you in a second. We're talking about Tungai Ndombele. So Kuva was just going to tell me what he's good at, what he's not good at, and whether or not he's got to go, which I think he's already said 100% unequivocally he does need to.
Yeah. I'm saying, just giving an analogy, the tortoise and the hare story, isn't it? There's all the cockiness in the world thinking you're going to win, so you don't put the effort in. And somebody that's just plodding along is going to do a better job. That's on Ndombele. He could be brilliant. We just get nothing. Nobody ever seems to get anything out of him. He just plays when he feels like it. It's like, no appreciation for how lucky he is to be on a football pitch earning that amount of money, blessed with that amount of talent, and just terrible attitude. I'd rather have another Stefan Freund than him. And that's saying something.
Absolutely. So Will, let me bring you in on this. And what we were saying was, Kuva had said, "Oh, nobody can surely want Ndombele to get another bite of the cherry, you know, etc., etc." And I was just saying that in one of my WhatsApp groups yesterday, someone put a post in with a guy on Twitter who had said, he was like, "Shh, say it quietly, but a Bissouma Ndombele pivot." And I just thought to myself, "Oh my God!" So where do you sit with Ndombele? And for you, has he got to go? And who's going to take him? And at what money? What are we looking at here?
I mean, he definitely is. I've seen that too. I've already seen that in a couple of chats on the streams this morning of people saying Ndombele, blah blah blah. No, he's got to go. He doesn't. If he thought that Jose Mourinho preseason was tough, Conte's preseason is going to kill him. We get rid of him wherever we can. And for whatever we can. In fact, probably the best opportunity for him will be to try to get him in a swap deal.
Right. There's lots of reports that there's some Spanish clubs in for him. Have you heard who? Or do we know? Or is it literally just unnamed Spanish clubs and we're just hoping somebody comes in to take this guy?
Yeah, Spain to me would probably be probably the best option for him. Somewhere in France, although the French team seem to not want anything to do with them. I mean, Lyon doesn't want anything to do with them. Italy, maybe. I've heard some rumors that there's some Italian teams that may be interested in bringing him in. I think he might do well in that. They seem to have a little bit more time on the ball in midfield in Italy than in other places. Yeah. So I think I think Pogba did really well in Italy, and they're very kind of similar players. Pogba's, even with being higher quality than Ndombele, has struggled a little bit in the Premier League to be effective, really.
Would it be fair to say they're sometimes players, like I like to call them?
Yeah, luxury players is what I call them. So
because see that term. Let me bring you in here on this, Kuva, and then Will, I'm going to come back to you just to get your 2 pence on Bissouma. Kuva, luxury players used to be called luxury players, but they actually contributed, right? Like, because they were like in 4-4-2 formations, you didn't just have a luxury player out on the wing who never did a single thing. They would be creating all your goals or scoring all your goals or whatever. Nowadays, luxury players tend to be, like Will said, it is your Pogbas, isn't it? It is your Ndombeles. And I just don't know whether or not you can afford to have a luxury player in your engine room, can you? Hence the word engine.
It depends how good they are. I mean, one of our greatest ever players was Glenn Hoddle. He was always billed as a luxury player by other clubs, other the managers. And that's an essential, not a luxury.
Yeah.
It's what you should aim to be playing like.
So,
no, I think it's luxury if you're a player that can't consistently contribute with whatever your specialist area is, or your all-round level of expertise. So if you're a winger that only turns up every 5 games, let's take another old crowd favourite that just wasn't actually as good as people make out, in my opinion, Aaron Lennon. Loads of work.
Tell you what, that's controversial. I like that.
Loads of work rate. He should be skinning people all the time. He should have bags of goals for it as well. But he didn't really contribute that much. People would then say, "Oh, but look at his defensive work," and I'm thinking, "Well, he's a winger. Why do you look at his defensive work? Look at what he's doing the other end of the pitch." So that to me is more of a luxury player, because if you want a winger to be creating and scoring goals, that's not good enough. You get the goals in. Will be here straight away on it. Statistics will back this part up every time, because they do. Statistics become those facts that you can't get away from. Lucas Moura as well, same style.
It's interesting, isn't it?
He hasn't even scored 20 league goals for us yet.
I know.
That's not an attacking player to me.
No, it's not.
See, this is the thing, and just before I bring you in, Will, Kuva, this was the thing. So, for example, lots of fans would turn around and say to me, "Oh, well, your favourite player ever," and he is my favourite ever, not the best ever, was David Ginola. And people used to say to me, "Oh, but he dived and he didn't track back." But I've had the luxury of interviewing Ramon Vega, Darren Anderton, Alan Nilsson, all people that played with him, and all of them, first of all, said he was the most naturally gifted player they played with. But what they said is, and what they said fans didn't realise was, yeah, he might not have tracked back, but managers would say, right, if you're under pressure, which they would have been because it wasn't as good as the team now, it was get the ball to Ginola. He'll take the pressure off us for 10 seconds because, first of all, he's got that amazing ability that lots of footballers don't have, which is holding on to the ball, right? And second of all, he'll go and make something happen. And unfortunately, for Ndombele, for Pogba, they don't do enough of that. For me as a fan, I don't know about you, but for me as a fan to be able to turn around and go, okay, I don't care that he doesn't work hard because he does X, Y, Z. Is that fair, or am I letting players off the hook for not working hard?
Is that for me or for Kuva?
Anyone can answer. Will, feel free. Go in, mate. Go in.
To be honest with you, I was reading a story, so I didn't really hear what you said. So you have to pass for me.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Thanks, Will.
Comments.
Basically, guys, I was saying it's okay for someone like Ginola to get away with not doing all the tracking back, etc. back in the day because of what he did going the other way, as opposed to someone like Ndombele that doesn't do it either way. So he's like this kind of lazy genius that doesn't actually produce.
Yeah, so like Ndombele, he would get the occasional goal or assist. He would have that through ball that was just, that makes you jump up out of your seat. He just didn't do it consistently enough, right? Yeah. And there are certain positions that I expect a certain amount of returns for, and people say, well, it's not all about goals and assists. Well, if you're a striker and you're only scoring 3 goals a season, you're not a very good one, right? Like there's certain metrics that a player has to reach in a specific position, and for Ndombele, for what he should be doing, he should be hitting at least 5 goals, 5 assists per season, and he's hitting about 1. And then he can't play a full 90 minutes. He can only play about 65.
Yeah.
So, for me, selection is being available is just as important as your stats or whatever, right? If you're only available for 10 games a season, then you're not. What are we paying your wages for? Like, right. I mean, think about it. If I had my job, but I could only work 2 months out of the year, should I be paid the same as if I could work 12 months out of the year? No, obviously not.
Absolutely. So, okay, just before we go over to Kuva, and I'm just checking out some stats, by the way, on Aaron Lennon, just because of a comment I've seen in the post. Will, just give me your thoughts quickly. It was quite funny, actually, because I saw you jumped on the show after I left on, I don't even know what day it is, Monday night. And I saw you guys were having a big conversation about central midfielders. And then you must have woken up to the news that Bissouma is having a medical tomorrow. So what was your initial thoughts? Are you excited? Are you losing your mind by it? Where does Bissouma fit in for you?
I mean, at the price, it's an amazing signing. I think he has different attributes that he excels at, but he's in the very similar ilk as Højbjerg and Bentancur for me. I would have liked to see somebody who has a little more goals per season than 1 or 2. Just because I would like to see Højbjerg and Bentancur kind of be a rotation of each other rather than bringing in a third person to them. But at that price for Bissouma, I mean, why not? I mean, 25-30 million pound for a player of his quality is. If it was 50 or 60, then I might make an argument to say, did we really need him? Or does one of the people we already have need to go now? But at that price, no brainer.
Okay. So Kuva, let me bring you back in. So one of the comments, apologies, there's so many today. So thank you for that. Here we go. Someone has challenged, is respectfully disagreeing, which is what it's all about. Respectfully. Aaron Lennon, great servant and a very good player for Tottenham. Now, I don't think that you were doubting the great servant part. talk to me. Was he a good player for Tottenham? Was he very good? Was he quality, in your opinion? Where do you sit with that?
I think he was decent. I just think a player with that skill set, that electric acceleration he had, the low center of gravity, the ability to beat a player so easily. I mean, Patrice Evra, he made a big deal of it, saying it's the most horrendous experience he had on a football pitch was Lennon ripping him apart. But a player with all that into their game, surely they should have contributed more than they did. That's the problem for me. It's the same with Lucas Moura, bags of ability, and just there's not enough coming out of him at the end of the day. I mean, sure enough, if you're kind of playing as a defensive midfielder, Lennon, brilliant, tracking back all the time, does everything you want from that role. But as an attacking-looking winger, I don't think there was enough there. I don't know how many. I can't remember how many goals he scored over his career for us.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to put this question to you and Will. Aaron Lennon, in all competitions for Tottenham, played 364 games. How many goals in those 364 games? Do you want to have a guess? Kuva, you want to go first?
35.
35? Will?
15.
50. He got 30 in 364. Now, I'm not the world's best at maths, right? But for me, that means when you're not contributing more than 1 in 10, 1 in 11, playing in most of the time, when he was playing in a team with Defoe, Keane, Modric, Berbatov, Bale, it beggars belief, right? That you're looking at 3 goals a season averaged. That's not amazing, is it?
No, I mean it's not.
That's my point. Same with Lucas Moura. I'm pretty sure Lucas Moura averages around the same sort of. It's about 1 in 6 or something for him. He's got way more skill than those sort of stats are showing. I think they're disappointing in that point of view. As I said though, with everybody's got different opinions on players. That's fine. And the chap who said he respectfully disagrees about Lennon. Yeah, there was attributes to his game that were good for the team. His tracking back was good. He wasn't a great tackler when he tracked back. They did add numbers going back there and help out the fullback. I'm sure the fullbacks were always really glad to have him ahead of them. And
let's be fair. As a fullback on the other team, the one thing you do not want to play against is pace. Yeah. So I think you're right. There's so many games when I thought to myself, you've beat your fullback once, just keep beating him. Like, just keep, you've got the beating of him, keep beating him. But all right, let me Will. So Andy Crosby has said that defensive midfielders, we're now set. We've got 4 of them. If we're going to put Skip, Højbjerg, Bentancur, and Bissouma, I'm not necessarily saying they're all out and out defensive midfielders, but none of them are that guy that's going to really go the other way and create for you and score. Now, do you think we're set for the summer with those 4, or do you want to see another midfielder come in that offers something different to that? And do you think Tottenham have got that in their locker to pull that out the bag?
We do. We need 1 to 2 more. I would like to see some, I guess you could say progressive box-to-box midfielders, a Tielemans, a McKinney, along with if an Eriksen too on a free. We need to be getting goals out of our midfield, right? 1 to 2 a season from each of them is not going to cut it. We need midfielders that are scoring 4 or 5, 6 goals a season at least, right? 10 or better would be a bonus, right? So,
yeah. So, do you think that we're going to see any games where the 3-4-3 turns into a kind of 3-5-2 with either a third man dropping in maybe in tougher games or a more creative spark against low block teams, or what I like to call them, teams that sit on the edge of their own box? What do you think that could happen?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple different ways that you could do it. I mean, you could do it in a 3-4-3, or what I like to call a 3-1-3-3. It's basically where your midfielders sit, above the other, and one pushes higher up the pitch while one holds. When you have a defensive midfielder who is competent, who's very good defensively, and can break presses on his own. Like, I think this Bissouma gives us the ability to have one holding midfielder and
Yeah.
two dynamic midfielders in front of him, one dynamic or attacking midfielder in front of him, or multiple different scenarios. We haven't really had a defensive midfielder who can necessarily, I guess you could say, hold the line on his own, right? Like, just be there and be able to sit in front of the back three and actually help them out
Yeah.
in a while, since Mousa Dembele left, right? So,
well, that's the name that keeps getting brought up, right? Whenever we're mentioning Bissouma now, the instant name is Mousa Dembele. Can he have this for both of you? Can he have as bigger impact as Mousa? Because since that guy left, I've always felt that we're really, really lightweight in the midfield. So is this finally the guy that we're now going to go, right, we're not worried about centre mid now. This guy's got it.
I think he has to prove himself yet. I mean, we'll see. I mean, those are big shoes to fill. I mean, every player in the club, when asked who's the best player at Tottenham Hotspur, they all said Mousa Dembele, right? So,
right.
That's a big shoes to fill for Bissouma.
And that's a team with Kane, Son, Eriksen, Dele Alli in his peak,
prime,
Walker, Rose, right? So
Wanyama in his prime before his knees went out.
Just quickly, Kuva, before you answer, big up Bob Spur. For anyone that doesn't know about the pussy trolls on the prowl, you need to tune in to Bob Spur's show on a Saturday evening. It will take you through to about 3 a.m. and then you can put Babe Station on. It's thoroughly entertaining. Lots of it's about football. There's lots of random stuff that happens, but
what I was reading earlier is apparently Villarreal CEO has come out and said that Lo Celso is a player that they want, but the situation with Tottenham right now is very complicated.
So basically, Daniel Levy's asking for too much money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So let's go on to that then. So while we're talking central midfielders, before we move on to other areas, Kuva, Lo Celso was brought in for, depending on the reports you read and the loan fee and the perm fee, I believe somewhere in the region of 45 plus. Ndombele, depending what you read, was somewhere between 55 and 65. We're going to have to take a massive hit on those two, right, to get them through the door. Can you see Levy doing that through his own volition, or do you think Levy's going to have a look at this and go, hang on, I've got to now because I've got so many players in that position and these guys aren't offering anything?
2 years ago, could I see Levy doing that? No. Now, can I see him doing it with Conte and Paratici pushing him? Yes. There comes a point when you've just got to let go. You can't, if it's not working, it's better to have something back on them and put it towards it, even if it takes selling both those players to get one person you need. So be it. That's still a better deal than keeping them. Otherwise, you end up with your Dele Allis, your Harry Winks. They're on the books for far too long, past their sell-by date. With Ndombele and Lo Celso, we never even had them when they were fresh for us. It's like they're just completely the wrong product. They don't want to end on. But Lo Celso looked like he never really wanted to play for us.
Yeah,
he was had that look of somebody just strolling around. Oh, it's nice money, but I'd rather be somewhere else. It's always the impression I'll get. I don't know why, just something about him. I think it's kind of dopey look on his face, isn't it? It's,
I almost felt like they were. I mean, I know Lo Celso did join initially on loan, but even when they were playing for us, it almost felt like they'd been punished, sent to Spurs to be on loan because they'd done something naughty at their own club. Yeah. It never struck me as two players that were coming in and like, right, I'm going to impress my new manager. I'm going to impress the new fan base. It just felt like they were going through the motions. But at the same time, and this is for both of you again, they got this weird like cult following from fans that Ndombele and Lo Celso's ceiling is there, whatever this means. Why do these types of players, let me bring you in here, Will, why do these types of players get this cult following? And how do we stop this mindset and actually get fans to just like not just like, but actually appreciate the players that are actually performing for us rather than look good on paper or on YouTube?
Yeah, I don't know. It baffles me. Like, I don't understand why people still try and defend Brian Hill. Like,
I knew
why?
you were going to bring him up. I knew it.
I can't not. Um, why? What is in it for you? He's done nothing for the club.
Mm-hmm.
Or I know it's kind of a cliche, but for me, that's the way that I operate. I'm a fan of the badge on the front, not the name on the back. Yeah, I
Right.
like the names on the back because of what they do for the badge on the front. If
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
anything for the badge, go away. You're
Oh,
utilizing resources that could be used on a player who actually produced for us.
yeah.
I don't know. It's just my personality. I'm about results, right? That's what I'm
Yeah.
about.
Sure.
That's why I like stats, because stats are the results. If you get results, you're good. I think you're a good player. If you don't get results, you need to go somewhere else. So, like, I love flashiness. I love players that are flashy and can create good passes. But I like flashy players like Messi and Modric, and players who look great and get results. You
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Yeah.
both, right?
Right.
Because if it comes down to results or flash, I'm gonna pick results every single time. Now, if you have both, that then you're a superstar in my
Yeah.
books. But yeah, I don't know why people follow these or try to defend players
Yeah. So
as if they're
Kuva,
like they're their mother, or their brother, or their uncle, or their sister.
right. This is spot on. And then Kuva, this brings me on nicely. So still keeping with that same theme, I almost feel like when you get players like Sanchez that gets this cult following, Ndombele has got it, the Celso's got it, Brian Hill's got it, Bergwijn's got it. I almost feel like people don't ever want to get to the point where they can turn around and go, do you know what? It's actually been a year now. It's been 2 years now. In Lamella's case, it's been 9 seasons now, whatever. And they can't actually turn around and go, do you know what? I did think he was going to come good. It never happened. And yeah, we need to move him on. They just blindly stick with him. And honestly, the reason I'm saying this is I can see this being what happens with Emerson Royal. This Royal's got this little cult going on now of people that, oh, he's great. Why do they do that? When does, I don't get it. My mind's blown by it.
Yeah, let's be fair to Emerson Royal. How can I put it tactfully? He is a shit footballer.
That was polite.
He's a decent athlete who can't play football.
Right.
Why are we keeping him?
Yeah.
What are you going to improve? He can't cross a ball. He loses the ball constantly. Half of his decent defensive stats is because he lost the ball in the first place and then makes a tackle.
Right.
Absolute bullshit player. He's not going to get better. I've never seen anything in him at all. Nothing. Just he runs around a bit. Sometimes in a comical fashion. He's got his weird run sometimes. I think that's probably the only enjoyment I get out of watching him.
Yeah. He's another one, Kuva, right? He's the one, what we were talking about earlier, that he's bought to be a right back. All right, so that means he can't pass the ball 5 yards because he's playing 15 yards further up the pitch. And
yeah.
I tell you, my big gripe is I'm pretty sure fans make up this narrative without actually watching games. So I think people are getting confused that Spurs had a wonderful end to the season, only losing 1 in 11 games. And then they buddy that up with, well, Royal, I won't tag in Sessegnon. I don't want another Sessegnon conversation, but Royal was a big part of that. And if you watched him against the likes of Arsenal, he was great. I watched him against the likes of Arsenal, and I'm thinking every time he gets the ball, which is so many times because of the system we play, it breaks down on him because he can't cross. His passes inside are hospital balls. Sometimes the ball gets whipped in the box, and I'm thinking, what on earth is Emerson Royal doing in the box? And it kind of bangs off his head and flies into the... I don't know what people are watching. Tell me if I'm being harsh. I mean, but I think he's awful.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that he's getting bigged up for having a great finish to the season, just because he's finally managed to find a way where he can hold up that right back area of the pitch for a while. That's all he does, basically. He occupies it without being completely catastrophic when he does it. That's him playing well, apparently. So, I don't get it. Some of the times he's been given man of the match, and I'm thinking, why?
Yeah, I know. It's almost as if these people turn up and don't do anything wrong for a game, right?
Yeah.
It's, oh my God, he was brilliant. No, you just didn't notice him today because he didn't mess up royally. No pun intended. Will, just quickly, I've just seen a post. Here you go. I'd love you to answer this one for me. Get your questions in, by the way, guys. Just so you know, in about 5-10 minutes, what I want to do is I want to cover, and I don't know how long you've got, Will, but stick around for as long as you can. I was going to say as long as you're allowed to, but you know what I mean. We're going to go on to a few of the bigger signings that are being made in the Premier League by other clubs to see how good that is and how that affects us. And then I want to talk a little bit about that monstrosity that is an England football team. Will, Ndombele was so much better than Lo Celso, no debate. Now, do you agree with that, or is there most certainly a debate there to be had?
When you're looking at the results and their productivity for the squad, I mean, there's a debate to be had. When you're talking about talent and ability, then I think Ndombele's got Lo Celso all day long.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. And I'm glad we're going to talk about that at the England game, because Paul Ironson down there is an American giving his opinion on football is like me giving my opinion on tampons. Well, the U.S. isn't losing 5-0 in aggregate to Hungary, home and away. We're drawing Uruguay and beating Morocco 3-0. So,
yeah,
shows how much.
Don't worry, we're going to come on to England and the USA. Don't worry, Will. We're gonna get there. Just quickly, can I just say thank you. Managed to get me up to 890 subscribers, 10 away from the magical 900. Not even magical, 10 away from an average 900. So please do subscribe. And I do appreciate all of your time. Paul has said, Savva, there's even an Emerson Royal cult. This fan base is a lost cause. One of the things, Kuva, that I'm looking forward to is by bringing in Bissoumas, by bringing in Perisic's, by looking at players like, hopefully a Bremer or a Bastoni coming in. I'm hoping that those fans will slowly start to see what fans like myself, I won't speak for you guys, but what fans like myself have been saying when I'm thoroughly disappointed with the mediocrity of what we've brought in for the last 10, 15 years. Would that be fair?
Absolutely fair, I think. It links in with the Emerson debate as well. The fact that, he was bought as a right back and not a right wing back as an excuse. I mean, going back in years, some of our best wing backs were in an era where there weren't wing backs. Stephen Carr, brilliant attacking right back. Christian Hughton, brilliant attacking full back on either flank. You look at your Man United with Beckham and Gary Neville. Gary Neville, he can cross a ball. He can still play football. He's not the world's greatest, but he could do a job better than Emerson. We've got this. I'm hoping that these quality players coming in, and the fact that I believe we are going to win something under Conte, if we can keep supplying him with the players he's after, the sort of caliber that he's after, we're going to lift trophies. When fans start seeing that, and then they equate the fact that we're lifting trophies to the fact that we've got bloody good players lifting that trophy. They'll see they'll start seeing what it is. What were they backing before? They'll see just how rubbish it was before. There's a new era coming with if we get Conte. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, you're telling me that if you moved Trent and Andy up into a wingback role, that they wouldn't be able to get 10 assists a season each, right? Like, come on now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
This is the thing for me as well. What we're not talking about here, guys, and we are going to move on in a second, but what we're not talking about here is like 16-year-olds that have never played in a top flight before and, haven't been playing football since the age of 6 and being coached at professional clubs. Yet they join Spurs and we want to give them 3 years to learn how to pass a football. One of the things I saw that was talked about with Emerson Royal the other night, and love Sean and all that, but Sean was like, in the summer, just get someone out there all summer with him. They lay the ball off and he practiced whipping balls in. I'm sorry, this isn't a Sunday League football team. This is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. You want to buy a player that can cross a ball. That's basics, right?
Yeah. Do you think that this is a thing. This is a thing, though, that as a father who has a son who plays at a fairly high level in the United States, even coaches here, they're focusing more on athleticism now than they are on technical and tactical ability.
Yeah.
And they're hoping that very athletic kid, because Emerson's an athletic guy, he's big, he's strong, right? He's got the build. They're hoping that someday that naturally athletically gifted person is going to come good on the technical and tactical aspects of the game, rather than looking at players who actually excel in that, who work hard on those aspects of the game. And I think
like the Ajax Academy and the Barcelona Academy and those types of academies.
You rarely see big, strong guys coming out of Dortmund, but you see really technically gifted, high IQ players come out of those academies.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
The one that sums that up the best, I think, Adama Traore. What a goddamn awful footballer. But as an athlete, my God, he's a specimen.
He's another one. Look, he for me falls. Look, he's a much better footballer than Royal, but he falls into that category for me of somebody many years ago should have taught him how to cross a ball. Right? Somebody many years ago should have taught him end product. You can't be teaching players that at the age of 23, 24, 25. They've been pros for years now, right? And this is why, for me, there's too many excuses. But look, I want to move on, and I want to talk about a few. Before we go on to it, I want to talk about England. I want to talk about the US from your point of view, Will. I want to talk about a few of the other.
There was one really quick point. It was just tying up all that we've been talking about.
Yeah, go on.
I think when a lot of fans are bigging up players that aren't performing well, saying they'll come good, I think it's because they want to be there afterwards just to be able to say, I told you he'd come good. Right. You've got to back your team. You've got to back. And I get that. It's nice to be able to do that. But there comes a point where you just got to cut it off and you've got to see what's in front of you now and realise it's not going to work. And I think we just hang on that a little bit too much as a collective fan base. We've been doing that for a long time. And it's ever since we stopped winning trophies on a regular basis.
Do you know what? Kind of on that point, do you know what I've had in the last few days, right? Especially yesterday. So I put I do my little minute clip in the morning. So yesterday was Bissouma. I said, I'm excited. It's a proper signing. This is what I've been waiting for. The first couple of responses I got were, Savva's in the mud. Levy proving you wrong. And I sat there and I thought, hang on. Levy's been here 21 years, right, guys? 21 years. And because we've signed Perisic and Bissouma, it means they've proved me wrong. Right. This is what I don't understand about fans. They're waiting in the wings. They want to keep saying these things so that one day when it comes right, they can say, told you. It's the same lot of fans that will say, when you talk about Sessegnon, they automatically talk about Bale or Ashley Cole. When you talk about Brian Hill, they automatically want to talk about Messi or David Silva. And there's no link. There's no link to, do you know what I mean? I don't understand that you're just putting players in there of a similar stature, but not with actually the same ability. Is that fair?
I think some fans. I mean, I'm not calling him out by any time because he's a mate, but David Harris on Tottenham on the hot Irish Hotspur, he'll love to say like Gil Messi and things like that. And I understand why he's doing it. It's not because he seriously believes that. It's because he just likes it for a bit of fun to big them up and then give them overhype them a little bit for a bit of fun. But some people genuinely mean it when they say it, and it's a bit weird because as you said, it's based on nothing.
But it's things like this, and Sean might have a go at me here, but again, this is where I think it's all about levels. We're Tottenham Hotspur, so when we're talking about, I think he's improving to give him another seat. We're Tottenham Hotspur. We're the eighth. Sorry, someone else will know this better than me. The eighth richest football club in the world. We've got that stadium. We've got that manager. We've got that training ground. I don't want to be giving players like Emerson Royal one more season. I want to see a player that we can all go, God, what a right wing back that is. And again, I want a caveat because I know it was a big thing was made of this the other night. I have not once said I want £100 million footballers. Please let me make that really, really clear. Guys, let's move on quickly. Will, I'm going to bring you in here. Let's look at some players that are please use this loosely. Our rivals are buying. I'm talking about teams in the top 6. And I want to start with Frankie de Jong to Man United, Will. It won't go away. There's lots of talk about it. 80 million. Apparently, he's not massively sold on the idea. Barcelona need the money. It's an easy link, I suppose, because he's played with Ten Hag before. Good signing for them. Good value. Too much. What does he bring?
No, yeah, I think for whatever reason, Manchester United always seems to think that their problems are in midfield. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think it's their defense that's god awful, to be honest with you. But I mean, because they keep signing players in the midfield, and it just doesn't change their fortunes. Now, bringing in a player like him is good. I mean, who wouldn't necessarily want it? But he hasn't actually been like, a superstar at Barcelona either. So I don't understand. Yeah, he's a great player. I mean, they've worked together in the past, so there is some I guess you could say some chemistry there with the manager.
Sure.
But is it going to be, is signing him for 70, 80 million pound going to be the thing that fixes their problems? No, their problems go way deep down into the first one is Maguire.
Yeah.
And their fullbacks too. They don't have fullbacks.
Do you think then, just before I go to Kuva, Will, do you think that is this another case of Man United spunking money? I know they haven't spent it yet. This is all this wonderful hypothetical game we play on podcasts, right? So before anyone tells me he's not signed, I know he hasn't. Is this another hypothetical case of Man United spunking big fees without actually having a process? Or, let me play devil's advocate, is this a sign that Man United are actually going to go huge this summer, and that is just going to be one of many big signings across the park in many different areas they need to strengthen?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one. If they go huge, then that's fine. But like, I mean, I don't really see them necessarily linked with many large attacking players or defenders. I think Pau Torres is one person that they've been linked with fairly heavily this window. But really, what they need fullbacks. I mean, Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka. I mean, I wouldn't have either of them at Spurs right now. So, what are they really trying to go for? I mean, right now they have Ronaldo. I mean, Rashford hasn't really been cutting it. Sancho, still young kid, so I'm not going to go in too hard on him. But this past season, he wasn't anything to write home about, and they paid a ton of money for him as well. I don't really think midfield is their biggest issue right now. There are other issues that I would hit before I hit their midfield. But if this is one of many, then yeah, good. They should do well. But I just haven't seen any links. Granted, I do watch the Football Terrace and I do watch a couple other United channels, but I'm not huge in the links that they're linked with, and I haven't really seen many attackers.
Me neither, Will. I've not seen many. I mean, Kuva, I know this is a Tottenham show. The reason I wanted to put this in is because, of course, we can only concentrate on what we're doing from a club perspective, but it does matter who strengthens around us, right? Because the teams around us are going to be key to where we finish. So if we look at Man United, is De Jong for you? Is that a good signing? I mean, Will saying he doesn't think that's the focus in midfield. What would you be going for first if you were Man United, and have you seen them linked with anyone?
First of all, I would have been going for a higher profile manager than Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag's a youthful sort of project manager, typical for the likes of Ajax. I don't think he's going to do well. He would have done well going to Everton, I think. Man United needs somebody a little bit more here and now. Even if it's the likes of trying to tempt somebody like Ancelotti to, where he is or an early retirement or anything. So I think De Jong's a hell of a player. He's been one of the best. But Man United have got so many problems at the moment. And I think they're the typical case of what we've started to do, build from the back, start getting their defence sorted out, because they got some absolute rubbish at the back there at the moment. They're getting nowhere until they fix that.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point. Just quickly on this, Stuart Austin. What I love about Goldbridge is, look, I've got nothing against this guy. I actually think he's quite funny, but this is a typical guy that has made his name because he's so over the top. He's a real extrovert and shouts and screams. And then as soon as he's being picked up by TalkSport, I see him in the TalkSport studio and it's all, hi, yes, well, my opinion is, and I just think, hang on, that's not you. Like that's like me going into the TalkSport studios and being asked about Daniel Levy and going, oh, yeah, wonderful chairman. I've really, really liked the way he's restructured our club for 20. So this guy's, I get it. He's probably getting paid, but Will, I'll bring you in on that. Ten Hag, that's a good point.
There's one thing needs addressing quickly. You got Gooner in the chat called Devon, and he's saying about Sol Campbell. I think it just needs addressing very quickly.
Devon, welcome to the show. Everyone is welcome. We've got Man U fans in here, Leicester fans. I've even got a Darlington fan from the Conference North. Devon has said, to dare us to do 13 league titles, you've only won 2.
It's when he's talking about Sol Campbell and he says, he won the double at their place. And I'm thinking, yeah, brilliant. And on Thursday nights, when he's watching your lot, on Thursdays, he can reminisce about when you used to be a top 4 side. So good luck on that. You can think about the old days. Do you remember that far back? Right. Cheers, mate.
This is the thing. Look, at the end of the day, I get it. There's going to be rivalry, Spurs v Arsenal. I think the only thing you haven't got going in your favour, Devon, you've got a point. You've won a lot more trophies than we have. Granted, no Spurs fan can argue that. But I think when you're going to come in and your kind of ammo you're using against us is a player from back in 2000 and what was it?
20 years ago,
2003 that he moved to the Gooners, 2001, whenever it was. This is a smokescreen because your club isn't buying anyone of note. So come back to me this summer. Feel free, stay in the chat as long as you're not rude. Stay in the chat. But you've got nowhere to go. Will, Sol Campbell aside, because that word gets me banned. Ten Hag, interesting one, right? Because Ajax play a lovely brand of football. He's had a lot of players that come through the Ajax system, like every manager does. I believe that if he was taking over a club that wasn't in such a mess like Man United are from top to bottom, I think he'd be a great guy to go in. I.e., if he was taking over Man City when Pep left, with that group of players, I think he slots in and wins titles. Rebuilding Man United from scratch, though, we're talking about a different ballgame, aren't we, Will?
Yeah, I'm a bit wary about Ajax managers because the system that they've built up there that backs and supports those managers pretty much supports all of them, right? I mean, when was the last time that a manager's come into Ajax and not been successful? Is probably a better question.
Yeah.
Because the system that they've built up around that club, it's kind of like Dortmund. Whoever comes in, they finish, second or third in the Bundesliga every year because of the system, the academy, the recruitment, all this. You don't really, if you're Ajax, you don't really have to recruit, right? Every kid in Europe and every kid across the world wants to go play at the Ajax academy, right? When they're growing up. So it's a little bit of an easier thing. So I think there sometimes can be a little bit of a false sense of quality when a manager comes out of those particular types of clubs. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're amazing. I mean, look, you got Klopp coming out of Dortmund into Liverpool and look what he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, Barcelona's kind of the same way. Pep has done really, really well. But that's not always the case, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Everton's brought in some big name managers who haven't helped them at all. So it just shows how much I guess you could say how deep the roots go for the tree that is the team depends on how successful that manager can be, right? Like we could have Conte all day long, but if we don't back him, we're not going to see any success.
Look, you're spot on. Look, when was the last time a manager turned up to Ajax and went, sod all this pretty football? I'm playing 5 at the back and we're just going to counter attack. It doesn't happen.
What they also have is go on,
mate. Go on.
What they also have is there's no expectation on that. They know when they've got a golden crop of youngsters coming through, and they also know when it's not a particularly great year. The expectations go down, so the manager's told, you know what, we're not expecting you to do work miracles for the next 2 or 3 years. But then we've got a really good crop of youngsters coming through, and we'll expect to pick up then. So they're not sold, you've got to win the league. We've got to be in the semi-finals of the Champions League. They just say, no, it's okay. We'll sit where we are. We know what's happening. There's consistency throughout the club at all times. Everybody knows where they're coming from. That's why he's saying, as quite rightly he's saying, the manager comes in, he does well because he knows what's going on. The players know what's going on. They know and the manager knows what's going on. There's consistency that I wish we had for 30 years, and we just have chop and change constantly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last bit on Man U, I'm going to move on to somebody else. The big thing for me about Ten Hag is I actually feel for the bloke. I feel that he's on a hiding to nothing, because this is almost like Moyes taking over from Ferguson again. You're taking over at a time when Man United, I know Moyes took over from a team that won the league, but I think Fergie bled the last bit out of a very average squad that last year to win it. He's picking up at Man United. It's not just the team. The coaching, the scouting, the directors of football, the owners, everything at that club seems to be rotten from top to bottom. Yeah. And this guy's coming in, and because the name is Man United, had it have been Aston Villa or Newcastle, he gets time, right? But because he's coming in to Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, he's going to be judged very early on. He's going to go in there and try and implement this kind of tiki-taka style of football, which you have to have tiki-taka style players to play, right? I feel like he's on a hiding to nothing. What do you think, Will? Is this guy going to see the season out? Are the fans going to get on his back too early? And are the board going to pull that plug?
I mean, they gave Solskjaer like a ton of time, didn't they? They need to be giving that same amount of time to Ten Hag, really. I mean, Ten Hag deserves it probably more than Solskjaer did. But I just think that the problem is that sometimes clubs, like, I think that the reason why United was so successful in the 90s and the early 2000s was because they had a system. They had the class of 92. They had academy. They were bringing in players. It seemed, though, that towards at the end of Alex Ferguson's reign, they almost became a FIFA club like PSG, where they just go out and just use the money that they had built from all of the success that they had for decades.
Yeah.
And then just started becoming, the biggest names. Who cares if they have actual team, right? We'll just put the biggest 11 individuals on the pitch that we can. And so now I guess you could say the roots have kind of rotted out from underneath the branches. And so now you got trees tipping over, and it's going to be a big fix. I don't think, even if they go out and buy a bunch of, high quality players, I don't think it's a fix that happens in one season. I think it's a multiple year thing.
Agreed. See, for me, I think it's more the fans, and this is going to be the very last thing on Man United, Kuva. For me, I feel like even when I speak to Man United fans now, Man United fans, when I was growing up, their mindset was, if we don't win everything, it's been a bad year, because they were winning. If they didn't win the title, they were winning a Champions League, or they were winning an FA Cup and the League Cup. And I don't know if those Man United fans, I'm not saying all of them, again, because it would be a sweeping generalisation. I know there's a few Man U fans in the comments, so please let me know if I'm wrong. Have Man United fans come to that realisation yet, Kuva, that they're not that club anymore, and they can't expect a manager to come in and just go, there's the title in one season, like they all thought last year. All last year, we got Ronaldo, Varane, Jadon Sancho. We're winning the league, and they've just had their worst ever season with 58 points.
I mean, I thought they were going to. I had them as title contenders.
I think
that was one. That was one I got wrong.
Loads did.
Especially adding Varane at the back. I thought that's the kind of consistent stability they needed back there.
Yeah,
just hasn't worked out, has it? You've got to say Ronaldo's done well anyway, because he wins games by himself. But
he's Ronaldo, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it. But the rest of it's gone to hell. Point being made about Wan-Bissaka there. I think it was a difficult one for the player himself, because he obviously was great at Palace, but he was great playing with some experienced players at the back there, where the expectation wasn't high. He goes to Man United. He's expected to instantly contribute to make the team a lot better. And perhaps it's just been a little bit too much for him because the players around him have not been as good as perhaps he thought they should be. That could link in with the midfield as being discussed. They're a long way behind where they should be.
Yeah, they really are.
Midfield definitely gets mentioned quite rightly, but again, I think the problem is they're so erratic at the back when it comes to defending. There's no confidence going into the rest of the team. Because even when we were struggling at times, Conte shored up our defence. Our defence started looking quite good, despite having Dyer and Davies in there.
Yeah.
And the confidence started coming. We knew we could start winning a few games 1-0 scrappy when we're not playing all that well.
Yeah.
United do not seem to have that. It's either
they're miles
going
off.
to win 3-2 with Ronaldo getting a hat-trick, or they're going to get hammered. There's nothing in between.
Agreed. Just quickly, welcome to the stream, Mr. Bob Spur himself. How are we, sir?
Good. Nice to be surrounded by so many introverts.
Well, we've got people with hair on the top, and I've got people without hair on the bottom. I'm creating divides wherever I go. Bob, let me bring you straight in here, mate. So we're talking about what some of the other clubs around us are doing and how does that affect us, etc. We've pretty much all just written off Man United. One of the things we're talking about here is I just wanted to bring you straight into a question from one of the viewers who said, it just shows you that money doesn't always work. Now, before you give an answer to that, Bob, I would just like to say that Man City have proven that it does. Chelsea have proven that it does. Liverpool have proven that it does. It's just, if you've got really bad management, directors of football, and a club structure like Man U, it shows that it doesn't. Bob, talk to me. Does money work? Should we not be spending any money?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why players are valued at a high amount is because they're good. You know, it's common sense. It goes hand in hand. But like you say, mate, it's a case of doing the right due diligence. We didn't do the right research with regards to an Ndombele. Lo Celso, he played well for us while he was on loan, but maybe we should have done a bit more of a thorough look into it, how he performs throughout his career.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're Spawn, you don't have to spend money. Personally, if I was a Man United supporter right now, instead of a De Jong, I'd be happy with a Perisic coming in, potentially a Bissouma coming in. I'd be more happier than them two players coming in than a De Jong, you know. So it is about getting, like I say, getting the right footballing people in place. But yeah, man, I mean, if a player, it doesn't always reflect that way. 70 million from Charleston, you know, is a different type. But the reason why players are valued at a certain amount is 9 times out of 10, 99.9% out of the time. I'm sure Will tell me if I'm wrong. It's because they're good players, man. And you want good players, you'll become a better team. It's a domino effect. You don't always have to spend money, but if you do spend you go to the higher value, it has to be on the better player. It has to be on the right player.
Yeah, absolutely. Will, was he right with his 99%, or was it more like 97.2? Or
no, 99% is fine.
No, we're sticking with 99. Will is the overall judge and jury on all things numbers. So Kuva, let me. Sorry, no, it's actually Will. Will, let me come to you on this one then. So, look, I've said we're going to talk about some of our rivals and their signings. I now feel like a massive hypocrite because I can't
talk about Arsenal. They haven't signed nobody.
That is 100% right.
We're going to come to Arsenal in a bit. Yeah. But I was actually going to talk about Man City, who technically I don't believe we can call rivals yet. We talked about this loosely the other night on Bob's show, and I'm keen to get his answer in a minute where he's not hosting, because it's so different when you host to actually when you're just a guest, right? Will, Haaland, Man United, officially unveiled, was it yesterday or the day before, which I don't know, I feel like I've been in a coma because I'm sure it was done a month ago or whatever. But
look who you're talking to on stream.
I think they had to wait for his contract officially end at Dortmund or something like that, or open or something. Yeah, but
is this signing, Will? I don't want to talk about golden boots. I don't want to talk about anything like that. Is this signing the signing that guarantees them the trophy next year, no matter who Liverpool go out and buy?
Yeah, it guarantees it. It's hard to say that it guarantees it, but dang, it makes it the odds pretty dang high. To be honest with you, I don't think Liverpool really has, like, comparing Nunez to Haaland is like comparing, Tesco bread to the best baker in France or something. I don't know.
I don't think that's ever going to catch on as a pun. That Will. I don't think that's going to catch on. But yeah, look, I know. We're going to do Liverpool after Man City, but from that, what I meant, Will, was for all season, what I've heard for years, what I've heard is, where Man City fall down is they don't have the out and out striker. Right, they do now. So let's be fair. From my point of view, I don't see a weakness anywhere in that 11. I don't see a weakness anywhere in that 22. So for me, is he going to be the guy? Okay, let me put it another way. Is he now going to be the difference between them securing Champions League this season? I don't mean qualifying for it. I mean winning it.
I think it brings them back to where they were with Aguero when Aguero was there. I mean, because it's pretty much a pretty similar team. I don't think they've really added anybody of like huge, impact. I mean, obviously, Foden's got more years under his belt. They've added Jack Grealish. So, I mean, if Jack Grealish shows up next season and Haaland, yeah, I mean, but I think it just brings them back to the solidity of the Aguero era.
Yeah.
Anything, so.
Yeah. Okay. Kuva, I mean, Haaland, your take on this guy. There's so much debate around this. And I'll be honest, when all the links were happening with this guy coming to the Premier League, I literally just looked at it and went, write everyone else off. Like, this guy is, this is one of those that isn't will he flop, will he not? But so many football fans seem insistent that this guy's going to flop. What are your opinions on him and what he does to City?
I think he's a sensational player, and it's the missing piece in Manchester City's jigsaw. They've had no focal point in the attack for a long time. Even with the likes of Jesus in there. Even you could even say Aguero. Aguero is very much more the sort of needs the ball on the deck sort of player. Haaland's got it all. He's good in the air. He's good with both feet. He's strong. He's quick. He's got an eye for goal. He's incredibly clinical.
Yeah,
we could be looking at the record goal scorer in Premiership history after many seasons. He's that good. I'm more worried about him smashing 35, 40 goals and Man City finish over 100 points again, and they're never touchable. I don't understand why people suddenly think he's bad. He's sensational.
Yeah,
he's absolutely world-class player already, and he's just going to get better at City. If he's scoring this amount of goals with not actually having the amount of chances that other players around him with similar stats do, what's he going to do at City when he's supplied with 12 chances a game? Well, a bit of an exaggeration there, but he's going to get playing against teams like coming up like Bournemouth and Forest and stuff. He's going to smash past them if Man City are having one of their on form days. I mean, you could be looking at 10 goal hauls in some games. How many of them is going to fall to Haaland? 6? I mean, 15 goals just off 3 teams, maybe. It's just, I don't get it. He's absolutely sensational. And he's going to prove it.
All right. So, Bob, let me come to you. Last bit on Haaland. So, 2 different questions for you. Is he going to be the difference this year that finally sees them win that Champions League, which Pep gets so berated for not winning? And second part to the question for you, which centre-backs in the Premier League, who is not worried about playing Haaland? I mean, I can't think of anyone other than Virgil van Dijk and two of Haaland's teammates, who obviously he's not going to be playing against. I can't see that any centre-half is going to control that guy. What do you think about those 2 points?
There's logical thinking and there's logical thinking, isn't there, Savva? I mean, I hate Man City, I hate Pep, I hate everything about Man City, what they stand for. I hope Haaland comes in and scores 5 goals. That's my logical and wishful thinking.
Yeah.
I'll latch on to what Kuva said. How long Man City have been playing without that focal point? So, and I've asked Will this question before as well. Do Man City change for Haaland, or does Haaland change for Man City? Because I think there will be some form of adjustment there, and maybe, hopefully, a bit of a bedding in period where he might not struggle to get goals, but not get that 30 odd goals a season. Personally, I don't think he will. I think there will be the bedding in period, like majority of the big name players who come to City do. I mean, De Bruyne first season was okay. You know, Gundogan, De Silva, even Grealish. I think Grealish is likely to smash it out the park next season more than Haaland. Yeah, I've said it.
Well, someone, Bob, just quickly on that, somebody has just said Grealish will win the Player of the Season next season.
I wouldn't go that far, maybe in the running, but I really do. And I've got a soft spot for Grealish. I've always liked him since his Villa days. I know Kim thinks otherwise, but I do have a soft spot for him. But he plays for
nice shins.
Yeah. But is he going to be, now, with regards to the Champions League, mate, we didn't see the best team win it this season. You know, of course, they're the champions and they did it when it happened and they're the experience and they've got this aura about them in Real Madrid and they won it. But if you stood back and looked at the bigger picture, would you say, were they the best footballing or the best football team of the tournament? No, of course they weren't. We all know that if we put our realist hat on. Now, will Haaland make the biggest difference in the Champions League? Yes, I do. I think if there's any time that in a one-off game against teams who aren't up to Premier League standard, if he could make a difference, yeah, I think they've got more of a comfortable chance of winning the Champions League. I still think they'll win the league. Unfortunately, I think there's big changes at Liverpool. I know you're going to touch on Liverpool in a bit, but for the Premier League, I still think they'll win it. I don't think Haaland's going to be that immaculate 40-goal first season. Hey, I might be completely wrong, man. But,
and to follow Bob's first logic, Haaland looks like Dolph Lundgren, but we all know what Rocky Balboa did, the Italian stallion to him in Rocky IV, right?
There you go, man.
In this story, who's Rocky Balboa? Conte's Rocky Balboa. Okay. Okay. So we're going to move on to another signing, and I'm going to start with Will. Before I do, let me just express my huge disappointment. I've just hit 100 likes. There are 260 of you in here. Surely we can get that up. And guys, please, if we could by the end of this show, I am on 895 subscribers. If we could find another 5 to 15, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Will, I feel redundant asking you this question because I know your answer. I've got you in my head already giving it to me. Darwin Nunez has just signed for Liverpool for, I believe, 85 million euros. Now, different schools of thought are, okay, Mane's going. I think that's pretty widely expected in the football community. Possibly Salah. They're looking for replacements. But this guy is more your out-and-out centre forward than those other two. So my question is, I know the answer. Is he going to be a flop in the Premier League? And do Liverpool change their formation? Do they need to accommodate Darwin Nunez?
I just don't think that Klopp does that. Klopp doesn't change for anybody, right? He just moans about how other managers play a low block against him. Darwin Nunez, do I think he's going to be a flop? I don't think he's going to necessarily be a flop, but I don't think he's going to be. He's not going to. I think Jota plays more games and scores more goals than he does next season. I just don't think if they were signing him 45-50 million pound, I would say, yeah, okay, that was a good signing. You know, he's probably a different style of player to Firmino if he even stays, and Jota or whoever else they have playing up there is kind of like that false nine. They haven't played with an out-and-out striker since I can't even remember when, to be honest with you. I'd have to really go back and look. You're talking pre-Klopp
Torres
era.
probably when it will. Torres probably, mate.
He's
Pre-Klopp
the one
era
that pops into my head. I can't think of if there's any Liverpool fans. I always get a few in.
Suarez maybe would have been.
Yeah, Torres. Yeah.
Suarez.
Can I
But,
just
I mean,
confirm this is you, Will, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Good. What were you saying?
That says yesterday I did a little bit. Yeah, I was on the football terrace yesterday morning when the Bissouma news dropped. She asked me about it. So
7.5 full ball, 7.5.
all 2.5 minutes of it. Yeah, it was great.
So Will, give me a number. Darwin Nunez, goals, Premier League goals, not all competitions, Premier League goals. What's a good return? Season
If he hits 12, I would say he would have a good season.
Okay, 12.
I think
All right.
Jota will probably get closer to 16 to 18. I think Jota will get more time. I could be wrong, but for me, seeing Nunez, I just don't think Klopp has the patience for the number of errors that he is going to make next season. Klopp doesn't seem like a patient man to me with players when they're not firing. He tends to take them off the pitch. I mean, Minamino, he didn't give Minamino any time at all. I mean, the poor guy, decent player, not good, but decent player, made 2 or 3 mistakes every time he came on the pitch and played 5 games for Liverpool for 3 years and is out the door. I mean, to me, it seems like that type of player to me.
Okay, let me come over to you then, Kuva. Look, Darwin Nunez, he seems to be the perennial split the opinion man. You've got lots of people that have seen him and really, really like what they've seen. You've got people that watch him and say, technically, he's not that good. We don't think he's going to score that many goals. Liverpool, though, who normally are very good, very diligent with their recruitment, is this one of their panic buys? Sorry, is this a panic buy, or is this a player that's been on their radar for a while?
I think he's kind of really come to prominence in the last sort of year and a half. More than
So it can't be a long time because they've only been good for a year. So
there you go. I think he's a good player. Like you said, Liverpool don't tend to make mistakes when they're going for players very often. They'll have scouted him properly, seeing that he's going to fit with the sort of player that Klopp wants. He's got interesting highlight reels though, because there's a lot of mistakes in his game as well as a lot of good stuff.
Yep.
But there is with a lot of very good players when they start off, and they iron it out of their game over the course of time. If there's the raw talent there, you can get a good return on them anyway, and then they'll sort of streamline their game over the coming seasons. I think Nunez has got enough to be a competent goal scorer for Liverpool. I don't know how far he could go though.
Okay. So, all right.
Quickly, if I could, seconds out 98 seems he wants to make a bet with me on the amount of goals that Nunez is going to score next year. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to suggest go watch the Uruguay-US friendly and tell me if Nunez is somebody you would like to have come play for your club.
Well, that was that. Bob, let me ask you then. So Darwin Nunez, I'm seeing a lot of fans say that this is a complete overreaction to Man City announcing Haaland. Now, I mean, I don't know if it's that, but I mean, look, this isn't Football Manager. I can't believe they just phoned him up 2 mornings ago and went, hey, fancy it, and they all got done. Would you have expected Liverpool to go for someone maybe a bit more experienced, a bit more high profile? And if so, does anyone jump out at you? Because this is Mane replacement, right? Essentially.
Yeah. I mean, Will said it a couple of streams back. I think he said it on In the War. Can't remember. But I know it's going off topic, but I really want Richarlison at Spurs. Different topic altogether. But Will said, I think he said, Will, that Richarlison will never be better than a £50 million player. Will never reach. I don't think Nunez will get anywhere near the 85 million euro player, because I just don't think he's that good a player. There is a lot of mistakes in his game. Hey, if anyone can bring the best out of him and make him a better player, is Pep, Klopp. Well, not Pep. I don't rate him. Klopp and Conte. So I think there's something there. I don't know what you guys think, but put Nunez in Man City and put Haaland in Liverpool, I think they'd probably get more goals for either team. I really would. I really do. I think Haaland would smash out of the park for Liverpool. Nunez, I know we're talking about Nunez in particular. No, man, it doesn't excite me.
I was going to say, Haaland at Liverpool, he'd make Trent Alexander's figures go through the roof.
Oh, God,
Exactly.
yeah. Him and Robertson whipping in balls.
Yeah. I mean, traditionally, don't actually get that many goals from wing backs providing the crosses, but he's an exceptional talent, and Haaland's an exceptional target man for him. So
I'm really disappointed, Kuva, that you didn't actually apply that to Emerson Royal and say that he'd make Emerson Royal's stats go through the roof with his crossing ability.
To arrive in the box.
Let's just quickly. I'm going to move on because I want to talk about.
Before you do that, I just they should have gone for Martinez. That's who Liverpool should have gone for.
What, Lautaro?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to leave. I've heard.
Well, Inter Milan to go to Liverpool. I don't.
Yeah,
think
he doesn't want to leave at all. He just wants to, because he's invested in the local area. So
yeah, he's got his own little coffee shop.
Yeah, he's tied to the place physically almost.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But that's who would fit in their system. Like,
let's just all welcome. I really like this guy's name. This is why we love beef. Losers, laughing my ass off. What is this shit? Thank you for coming. Shit losers. So we've progressed from laughing losers to shit losers, and then we've bad stream. Hit the like button on your way out to quote the.
Please do, and thanks for the algorithms is really improving it. So
thank you very much.
Comments are better. I just like the way
it's like seeing a horse let loose on a keyboard, isn't it?
I know. Isn't it mad that I tell you what I always find funny is in every stream when you get all these people that come to people's streams and go, "This is shit, this is boring," and you think, I wouldn't log on to something that I think is shit and boring. I'd go in and go, "Nah, this isn't for me." Right, guys, I want to move on to talk about England. Right, I want to talk about England. I want to talk about a bit about the US, Will, because there's this little thing coming up in the summer. I say in the summer, that's a complete lie. It's not. It's coming up in the winter, called the World Cup. So let me look, Bob. I'm gonna bring you in first on this one. Gareth Southgate, for me, has taken this group of players, which is one of the best groups collectively of England players I've seen in my lifetime. Not the best team, but the best group. For me, I think he's taken them as far as he can go. And I'm going to go one step past being polite and I won't sit on the fence. I think he's shit as a football manager. I think that when you have got the likes of Foden, Grealish, Maddison, who he doesn't even put in the squad, Bellingham, Conor Gallagher, Sterling, Sancho, Mount. When you've got this group of players with Carl Walker, Chilwell, John Stones, Harry Kane, Tammy Abraham, how on earth are England so bad to watch? And the one thing I will not take from any of you, I'm ruling a line under it because it's my show. I'm being like a kid in the playground with his ball. I don't care if they're tired. All the other countries are tired as well. What on earth are we watching with this England shit? One penalty in 4 games, and none of the flair players ever start a game. Bob, talk to me. What's going on?
I just think they're tired. No, I'm joking.
Right, thanks, Bob. Thanks for joining that one.
Mate, I'll be honest as well. Is Southgate the best manager out there? Quite clearly not. I'll put a bet down that we're going to win the World Cup as soon as we lost the Euros final when Rashford missed that penalty. Because for me, there's progression. If I'm looking progression within Spurs, 8th, 4th, I expect us to go better next season. I should still expect the same with my National League. Semi-final, finals, and win it. Not tired, but I just don't see the relevance. If us as fans, and I am club over country, of course I am, but every time England play, there is a big investment from me because I like seeing England play. I grew up, 96, 90 was my first proper World Cup, so I've always had an affinity with the World Cup.
Yep.
I just think no one fucking cares. Sorry, I swore there. I just think no one cares, man. I mean, it's not a World Cup warm-up. The Nation League, no one really cares about. It has been a long season. It is still ongoing. I'm sure if you sat everyone down, you asked Southgate, would you rather be here playing games? He said no. And the fact that England players have how competitive what was the Premier League? Every club on the last day of the season had the capabilities of moving up and down. Every single club on the last day of the season could have changed position, and that just says everything about the competitiveness within. So they all just want to go on holiday, and we're all human, Sav. There's nothing wrong with thinking that. Hungary, they're coming to England. They're playing one of the powerhouses in European world football. Of course, it's a massive game for them. Of course, they're going to be less tired. Of course, they're going to be more motivated. It shouldn't be the case. That's not defending the England team. You're representing your country. You should be up for it. But man, I think it's an irrelevance, and the 4-0 defeat doesn't hurt me as much, and that says everything about me as an England fan. So as for the players, no excuses. It was shit. The first time I really questioned Southgate was when he was bringing Maguire on for Saka yesterday when we were 3-0 down. We were down to 10 men. What's the point, man? Yeah. What's the point? You're just giving ammunition to the to the fans, who are a majority of them now, thinking you don't know what you're doing. But for me, Southgate, to really judge him, proof in the pudding is in tournaments for me. And the last 2 tournaments, he's done well. It's okay. He could have done better, a whole lot better. We should have beaten Italy. But for me, does he deserve to go one extra mile in the World Cup? Yes. Can someone else do a better job? Yeah. But right now, the England games are just total irrelevance for me.
Okay. So, Kuva, let me bring you in it. And I agree. Look, I'm not a huge international fan. You know, I hate it in the middle of the season where there's a 2-week break and I think, there's no football this weekend. And it means I've got to do like more washing up or cutting the grass or something. And I've got no excuse. But Kuva, look, the point for me is it's this squad. It's the selection of players that he's got, and that he constantly plays Mount. Like Mount seems to be the teacher's pet. He'll constantly play Saka. Now Bowen's coming, another one who works hard. But the Grealishes, the Fodens, always seem to be the last resort. And James Maddison, who I think statistically, Will, you'll tell me if I'm wrong or right, is the most creative or definitely from goals and assist stats from midfield. I don't think another midfielder touched him this year. And yet he can't get in the England squad. Why does Southgate not like flair? What is it about this guy?
You tell me. Apart from the simple thing is he's crap.
Right.
He's not a good manager, is he? I mean, which club is going to be gagging to get Gareth Southgate in as their manager after he finishes with England? There isn't going to be a top Premier League club, I'll guarantee you that.
What level then, Kuva? What level do you see him go in and at? Top of the Championship?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he'll have a little stint abroad somewhere. I don't know. I just don't see the point.
Is it no Everton kind of manager, isn't he? Everton.
Wouldn't wish that on even Everton.
I can see him more doing a 6-month stint at Watford and getting inevitably sacked like every Watford manager. Sorry, did I say months?
Maybe games. 6 weeks, yes.
Games.
Hey, we were linked with him. Don't put him down.
6 games and the Watford fans complaining that he's playing a 7-2-1 formation and they're bored to death.
Right. Yeah. And for me, that result the other night against Hungary is the culmination of a lot of things. We've touched on most of them. There's fatigue in players. There's an oversaturation of football anyway. Just in domestic and Champions League, or put all those together. How many games would a player play if they go through all of those competitions? So 80 games in a season, something ridiculous. Well, maybe not that much, but it's getting on for a lot. So players will be tired coming into a game like that, thinking, well, it's not the club paying my wages. I'll put in a shift, but not going to really risk anything else. I'm knackered. So that's part of it. The manager, no real imagination. The Southgate is there, nothing at all. It's just sort of, I've been there. I've been involved in England squads. This is what you do. Run of the mill, puts them out there. There's no spark there from the manager.
Okay,
the players that we do offer the creativity, like I said, Maddison, not getting into the team, perhaps because not enough work rate from him. Maybe that's a reason. It's Southgate.
That's Southgate all over though, to me, right?
Yeah.
In a team that scored 1 goal, Kuva, we scored 1 goal.
Yeah.
And I know we can talk about them being meaningless, but other teams, Holland have just scored plenty of goals in that time. Wales are scoring goals. Spain are scoring plenty of goals. Italy have scored. Germany have scored.
Kulusevski scored more goals himself than the entire squad of England.
England scored one penalty, and guys, even that was a dubious penalty from my point of view. Look,
for
okay,
me, well, it's chemistry. There's no chemistry in that team. You look back at some of the great England sides, even though we didn't win things. You're like, for me, Italia '90 would be like a prime example, or even the Euro Championships later on than that. '96, I think it was. We had Sheringham, Shearer, and Tandem up front. There was the likes of Gascoigne in the team. There was that incredible, unpredictable spark. There was a character to the team. Even before that, when you had Beardsley and Lineker and you had Hoddle behind them, that sort of thing. There was creativity. People knew their roles. There was a style and a character you associated with the team. Yeah. With this current England team, I look at it and it doesn't matter who we select. It's players that are all pretty similar. Good technical ability. They're capable. They can pass well, but there's no real X factor to them. It's all very predictable. There's no. I've played with this player right the way through club level, and I understand where they're going to run. I'm going to run onto it. We're going to split a defense open like that. It's all very. Trying to think of the word. It's stale almost. It's there's no vibrance in the attack. It's just a standard. The statistics put them together. Rather, sorry, Will, no offense. The
statistics definitely didn't put them together.
You'll go in all on England, man. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry. Will's about to talk in what in.
It's a case of these are the best the Premiership has to offer. Shove them all in one team, it will work. It doesn't. Sometimes you need to look outside the box, and players that don't necessarily set themselves on fire with the stats, but they bring that something to the team, that bit of fire, the bit of unpredictability, something unusual, and then you got sort of distinctive edge to the team. It's character. It is DNA. Well, go back to DNA if you like. Same thing that's been lacking with Spurs over the years. It's never constantly there. That spark you need. We're always looking for something that's missing. And
there's some breaking news, mate. I know you guys touched on Pogba earlier, but just to confirm that the representatives, Paul Pogba's representatives, are finalising a 4-year contract to join Juventus. So I think it's pretty much happening. We kind of expected that, but I think it's just confirmed now. What a waste! What overblown waste of space.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've just heard it here. We don't need Dan Kilpatrick. We do not need Alistair Gold. We have got Bob Spur bringing you live update information direct from players' agents.
Isn't that right, Paul? Isn't that right? Yeah. He said yeah.
Paul. Okay, so Will. People are telling me that you're reveling in the demise of English football. So look, let me bring you in here. And look, I will come back round to Kuva and Bob about some English predictions for the World Cup and et cetera, et cetera. Will, lots of people, look, you know, football fans, we like to be knee-jerk, et cetera. I've been saying for years that I think that Gareth Southgate has had it very easy in major tournaments. I don't rate the way his teams play. I think with all the talent he's got, we create absolutely next to nothing in nearly every game, unless it's against one of Europe's minnows. As a USA fan, as someone who's clearly back in USA in the World Cup, being from there, are you worried as a nation? I know you can't speak for everyone, but are you worried representing the USA here as a fan about what England could do in the World Cup? Do you foresee England as out-and-out group winners on 9 points? And is a little bit of you happy when you watch England and they're that bad?
I'm absolutely terrified. I think that I watched Gareth Southgate's press conference. I think he's absolutely right. He's the best English manager in the last 50 years. The greatest English manager that you guys could possibly pick. And I think he should stay on for not only this World Cup, but the next one as well.
Moving on.
And if you couldn't catch the sarcasm in my voice,
No, I'm gonna edit this and just have that as your answer and then move on. Like just go on. Right,
that's for the people in England to see, so that they keep Southgate up. No, look, I think it was you that broke it out on I think in one of your morning questions or some early shows. Like you gave kind of who England beat and going through. I mean, Belgium, which.
Well, Will, I'll tell you what. Let me just before you answer. Let me break that down for people, because when a lot of people, I've got fans that are, they're England. We're amazing. Southgate's done this. When you break it down in the World Cup, when we got to the semis, we beat Tunisia with a last minute goal from a corner. Harry Kane scored. Yeah. We beat Panama. No offense to anyone who's Panamanian in my comments, but we should be scoring 6 past them. We drew with Colombia and won on penalties. We beat Sweden, lost to Belgium twice, and lost to Croatia. So from 7 games, we actually won not even half of those games and got played off the park by Croatia. And then in the Euros just gone, we didn't actually have to play anyone to get to the final. Like, I know you can only play who you play, but the first time we played a good team in Italy, and they made us look like we'd never played football before. So, sorry,
I think even 2 of those games went to penalties too, right? The semis and the finals, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I think we beat Denmark in the semi via a penalty, and then we lost on penalties in the final to Italy.
Yeah, I mean, with Panama too. We beat Panama 5-1, 5-6-2. I mean, I think the last time we played Panama, we beat them 5-1. So, I mean, Panama is. The only reason why they were in the World Cup in 2018 is because our team absolutely shit the bed. It was a Tottenham moment where we had all we needed was a draw to automatically qualify. Ended up losing 2-0, which pushed us in goals difference outside of the qualification. And but no, I mean, right now the United States is looking good. We've got a pretty decent squad, a lot of depth in midfield. We're lacking the only part that we're really lacking quality. We don't have any world-class players. We have some pretty good players. The only place where we don't really have a good player is we don't have a good striker and we don't have good center backs. Mm-hmm. Our center backs are average. But we're beating teams. We beat Morocco 3-0 a couple weeks ago. We drew 0-0 with Uruguay. El Salvador, which is like 5th or 6th place team in our CONCACAF, we drew with them last night 1-1. But I mean, the pitch was an absolute hog trough. They got some worldy out of zone 16 in the 35th minute. People don't know zone 16. It's like where you take a corner from, pretty much. Guy just kicked I don't know, it was because it was wet, but it was just a dead ball, just because straight into the keeper didn't even move. But we came back, fought. Pitch was mud. People were slipping around, eating dirt, spitting mud out of their mouth. Came back and drew it, finished it out. So we've been playing really well. So I think if England people think that based off of where they finished, being semifinalists and finalists in the last 2 major tournaments, that you're going to beat, that you're easily going to get out of a group of Iran, the U.S., and Wales. It's a lot more difficult group than you've had in the last 2 tournaments. And if you continue to play this way, you may not even make it out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let me move it on then, Bob.
I've just solved the manager thing with England. It's an obvious choice. Michael Owen.
Michael Owen?
Yeah. You don't have to listen to his stupid bloody commentary on BT Sport then, do you?
I'll tell you, I'd love a Michael Owen playing in this England team. So just quickly, I'm going to come back, but somebody came up with this, right? And I'm sorry, but who are the flair players? England have players like Phil Foden, Jack Grealish. Yeah, if you were talking about England, if not, I'll shut up and get back in my hole.
I think he's talking about the US.
If he's talking about the US, I mean, who are the flair players if we're going US?
Pulisic, Weah, McKennie, Mousa, Reina. Those are our flair players.
Okay. Right. So Bob, let me bring you in then. Look, for me, as I've said, this isn't a reactionary thing to the last 4 games. I've gone off watching England the last 4, 5 years, 6 years, because I find Gareth Southgate's teams just, even when we win, it's just mind-numbing. I'm not saying this rut will continue until the World Cup, but again, I can see an easy group in the World Cup. I'm sorry, no disrespect to the US. I think it will be England and the US who get out the group, but I don't think that it's a group where England should fail to qualify. Can we? I'm going to ask you. I hate it. Can we win the World Cup? Can this squad with Southgate win a World Cup?
Can this squad?
One second. Seconds out 98. He says, didn't US play Honduras in minus 20-degree weather to gain an advantage? Don't get us confused with Canada.
Oh, of all people to get confused with.
Don't get the US confused with Canada. We don't play people on ice hockey rinks, okay? In the wintertime, we play our games in Arizona, Texas, where it's still normal temperature.
That's it, man.
There you have it.
Will's from the sunny side of USA, Vancouver.
Seconds out 98. Just quickly, seconds out 98. Listen, there's one thing I know about Will. If you're going to come to an argument and you're going to bring facts, they've got to be correct, mate. This guy doesn't just pluck things out of there. This guy, he knows his stuff. So
Wales won't beat the USA either.
He does. Yeah. He does. Will does know his stuff. Well, we're in a piss easy group, aren't we? Let's be honest.
It should be England and US should get out of that group every day, all day. But if you guys don't beat Iran first, you have to win that first match. Yeah. Because the England-Wales matches are not going to be, or the US-Wales matches are not going to be easy for you guys. We're both going to come gunning for you. Those players are going to want your heads on a plate. Iran is going to be the key. If you get 3 points in Iran, I think you get out of the group. If you draw or lose to Iran, I don't know if England even gets out of the group.
We need to get the points from the board, 100%. Unfortunately, Sav, I am one of those England fans.
Fair play to you.
I've always been like that, and I expect us to win the World Cup with this team, with these players. I really do. I don't think we should be afraid of anyone. I think in Harry Kane we've got the best striker in the world. Adjustments need to be made. We need to bring that confidence into the squad that we had going into the Euros, because we were bouncing. We were the media's, favourite boys and everyone else, and the whole nation was cheering them on and everything. We need to get that vibe back, which we ain't. The fact it was dull, it was raining when England were playing last night, just kind of tops it off. But it's going to be played during the winter times. We're going to be watching sun on the TV. So, I think there will be. I think when the World Cup starts, there will be a change of mood. I expect us to win the World Cup. Will we? That's a different matter. I spoke to you about logical and illogical. My illogical hat says yes. Come on, England. It's coming home. We'll win the World Cup. The logical says I'll be shitting it every single fucking game.
Okay. All right. I like it. Good. And by the way, I've got nothing against anybody that is like that. The passion for me when I think for me it's gone because there's far too many international games now. Yeah, and now more often than not, we don't see a best 11. You don't see a team where you can go, God, England have built a really nice 11. What you see is like the last 4 games where you see, right, we're going to have this 11 this week, then this formation. And it just, there's no, I think like what Kuva was saying earlier, they haven't, there's no partnerships formed. There's no kind of telepathy built across the players because they're always moving. But Kuva, let me come on to you.
Yeah.
Okay. If Gareth Southgate becomes the first England manager to win a World Cup since 1966, what would you do? First of all, can he do it? Will he do it?
He'll get a tattoo of Bob. Cooper will.
I'll get a B on each buttock for sure.
That's it, yeah, man.
Only if you show it live on the stream. Otherwise, it's no good to anyone.
I would just. He doesn't
all right, you'll stream then, Savva, right?
Kuva, can he do it?
Widescreen.
Oh dear. I could have three slots, one each cheek, and then the middle one. Can he do it? No, of course he can't do it. He's incompetent. We've got a team that's built to try, kind of grind out a couple of results. If we get out of the group stage, which isn't a given, I think it's a case of how many teams can we take the distance and get a penalties win on, because that's the only way I see us progressing. Harry Kane remains our only real source of goals, and most of the time it's going to be a penalty.
Did you see that when they said that Harry Kane has got 50 England goals and the rest of that 25-man England squad between them have got 49?
Yeah.
I mean, that's embarrassing, right? And this goes back to my point about, again, he never plays the flair players that will create and score. So hard-working players.
I mean, I'll get the feeling you're kind of the same with me in this respect, Savva. It used to be a time when you'd look forward to England games.
Yeah.
You get excited about it. World Cup's coming up. We got a qualifier coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to that. Nowadays, it'll be like, oh, are you watching the game tonight? And I'm looking, what game?
Yeah.
Oh, England. Oh, what are we playing now? What tournament's this? Never heard of it. It's like,
yeah.
It's just no interest at all. There's way too much football, way too much international football, and all these organisations, FIFA, UEFA, Premier League, they're all trying to get a bigger slice of the pie than ever, so they can get more money in. And we're just saturated.
I just
with
don't like it because you're so bad at it, though. That's I don't like it.
I think, Will, the thing is that I'm pretty sure growing up, I mean, there were a few England internationals, right? There were a few friendlies, and then there was the qualifying tournaments that went on. But now I feel like they stop and have like 3 internationals in a week. And like you said, Kuva, I'll be at work and someone will go, "You watching England tonight?" And I'll be like, "Oh God, is that tonight?" Like, I knew it was going on, but I didn't know it was actually tonight, right? Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to have a Nations League this year. Like, what's the point in that?
There's
like,
no point. That's it.
The Nations League should be like in Confederation Championship, so Euros, World Cup years, where you've got a competition that's not a competition, but it's a competition, and there's just too much. Like, for me, I don't like CONCACAF competitions because we have to play the likes of Canada and Costa Rica and Panama. But I like it when we go out and beat Morocco, who's supposed to be the second best team in Africa, 3-0, because people like to crap on the United States and don't know anything about us. And draw 0-0 with Uruguay and make people like Darwin Nunez look like idiots. So that's fun. But I don't like. We played. I think we beat who was it last week? Granada 7-0 or something like that, 6-1.
So let's bring this full circle then. I don't know if this is because everyone I follow is Spurs fan. I don't know, but everything I'm seeing on any form of social media I get sent is Southgate's got to go, and the logical reason, make of that word what you will, is that Poch should take the England job. So let me start with you, Will.
Sure.
For me, national management is more where people go to kind of end their career, or when you are of a Gareth Southgate ilk. Now, don't get me wrong. I know people will say, well, what about... gone right out of my head. What about Mancini, Italy, etc., But most of the international managers, you don't see Klopp, you don't see Pep, you don't see Wenger, Mourinho, right? Is it good for Poch to take the England job? Does he do a good job? And would that pretty much be signalling that he's failed as a club manager? Now, I know that's really controversial and I'm going to get loads of hate. But what do you think, Will? Poch?
I mean, if he's willing to take the job, he'd do a heck of a lot better job than Gareth Southgate would be. I'd take him in for the United States. We have kind of similar problem as you, although our manager's not near as negative as yours, right? He's not a defensive manager. He's just dumb. But yeah, Poch, if he's willing to do that, do it. But I mean, is he going to want to? I don't think Poch would want to be an England manager. Argentina maybe, but not England.
Yeah. Guys, I mean, Bob, Kuva, either of you, I mean, is this sentiment from Spurs fans? Having said that, Poch does do well with a small group of players. He's used to not buying players, having been the Spurs manager. And, young players do tend to work well with Poch because they'll run through a brick wall for him and his methods. But are those methods sustainable over a kind of 6-year period like Southgate's had? Either of you?
You go, Cove. Go.
Oh, all right, okay.
I reckon. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. Bollocks to you. I'm on. Right. For me, Pochettino is always going to be a club manager. I agree with this idea. International management, it's a graveyard for managers. It's just, when you've proved yourself at club level, it's like the final stepping stone. Just give it a go, just to see if you could do it as a final test after doing the rest of your career.
Right.
For Poch, no way. He needs to get at the start of a big project, and he is a project manager. He needs to have a good 5 years minimum at a club to turn it around, from flush out all that's wrong with the playing staff at the time, bring in young, vibrant players, then bring in the academy players, bring in exciting talent from around the world, the below the age of, say, 23 or something, or 25 at max, something like that. People that will buy into this idea of him creating that team atmosphere and the family atmosphere in the club. So as a feel-good factor, there's a everybody playing for the father figure being Pochettino, and you build from there. He's not going to come in with established players. I always thought he was wrong for the job PSG's for this exact reason. Full of prima donnas, established players that are not going to take on board a whole new fresh way of playing football. They're going to go, no, up yours. I know.
So Kuva, like this. So PB and Jam, who I really like, by the way, has said the same report. Some reports say that Poch didn't get top players at Spurs because he can't deal with them, and he thinks that's BS. But haven't we just seen that at PSG? That this is a PSG team that, yes, they will win the league even if they all had one leg, right? Because they've got that many talented players. But the PSG fans can't stand his style of football. The top players at PSG don't respond to him in any way, shape, or form. Is there not just a case that some managers they can't manage that level of ego because maybe they've not got that clout? That, i.e., if Klopp, if Pep, if Ancelotti, if they walk into that PSG dressing room, Neymar, Mbappe, Messi, Verratti, they look at that and go, Jesus, that's Pep, that's Klopp, do they look at Pep in that same Poch in that same standing? Is there any merit to that?
It is a myth, isn't there? I mean, it's got to fit. The manager's got to fit the role, and vice versa. Poch could possibly do, I think most guaranteed, probably do better with a bunch of players that England got at the moment. But does the job suit Poch? I don't think so. I think Kuva touched on it all year. That Poch is a day in, day out kind of manager, a tracksuit kind of manager who wants to be there at the forefront of all things, training wise, selection wise, injury wise, and he won't get that at England. Big egos, of course there is, but I think he'll be more comfortable with the England ego than he would be against a French, Italian, or a South American ego. I think there's different egos depending on nationality differ. I think we're a lot more humble, aren't we, to take on. So, yeah, Poch, I don't expect him to go into the national side, any national side at the moment. Would he do a better job with these groups of players? Yes. But would he do a better job with these groups of players for England? I don't think it's the right job for him.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you then, who I mean, I'm not saying Southgate's being sacked, but for me personally, I think he's going to stay because I can't see England having, after all these years, the semi, the final. I can't suddenly see that with 4 or 5 months to the World Cup, we're going to go, all right.
God, I hope not.
Get him and bring someone in. Yeah, exactly. Other countries will be happy, but I don't think England, the FA will do that. Let's talk beyond the World Cup. Let's talk January next year. Let's just assume Southgate goes. Are there any, this for all of you, any standout names that you think would do well? I've seen Potter being linked. I've seen Eddie Howe linked. Is there anyone that could go in there and actually build a kind of ethos, a strategy, and really get the best out of these players?
I know a lot of people are saying, sorry, Pip.
I was going to say quickly, just I don't think it matters because the FA decide who the manager's going to be. And all they're looking for is somebody that wears a suit the right way and is prepared to brown nose them. That's it. Yeah. So that's why you never get any real quality managers in there. Brian Clough misses out, Harry Redknapp misses out. And the only one they've really taken any kind of risk with, as far as I'm concerned, was Terry Venables. Yeah. And he was doing a cracking job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he really did. Just quickly, I just want to address this. Scott M., I think that this is a sweeping generalisation. So when we say the same issues that Tuchel, Emery, Blanc all had at PSG, the PSG fans are basically saying, though, that the football they're watching is some of the worst they've ever seen under Pochettino. And that it's just, I mean, the number of games I've watched PSG this year where they've needed a last-minute winner, like an individual bit of brilliance rather than team play. And for me, look, Poch had a lot of signings last year. You know, it was thrown at him at Spurs. He didn't get backed. Last year, he's bringing in Ramos, Wijnaldum, Messi, Donnarumma, Hakimi as well. You know, so for me, I think to not win the Champions League, fine, but they didn't beat a single, if I'm right, somebody said this to me, that they didn't beat a single team in the top half away from home all season. They went out of both French Cups. They were really poor in the Champions League. Sorry, you know, at some point there has to stop being excuses. But as you were,
I mean, they won the league though by the largest point margin they had ever won it by, right? So, so they should look how weak that league is getting as they're getting further away. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but I just think the reason that PSG struggles in what they're doing is because they have too many individuals. They don't have a team. They have too many stars. Any team that's built. I mean, the only reason why that worked at Barcelona during that, you know, golden era of Barcelona was because they all came up out of that academy. They had all grown up together. They had chemistry. Barcelona built the names. They didn't buy them. Right. That's the same thing with United. The reason why it worked in United was because they built the names. They didn't buy it. They might have bought parts. Right. But when you buy, that's one thing. When you play FIFA in real life, it doesn't work. Right. Got, you know, Neymar, Mbappe wants the ball. I mean, look, now Mbappe is the manager and the owner of the club, and he's sacking whoever he wants and telling people they got to go. I mean, how if you're Messi, 31, one of the greatest players of all time, and a 23-year-old comes and tells you, hey, you know, now I get to pick the rules.
Go on then, Connor. He just wants to say one thing. Go on then.
Chelsea wankers.
There you had it.
I have no idea what he said.
Chelsea wankers.
Oh, Chelsea wankers.
He looks about 5, Kuva. So proud.
Yeah, absolutely.
So proud.
Don't know who he is, but
yeah, he just walked in.
No, I mean, there's a lot of managers I think that can fit there and work for England. I mean, you got to look at people. Moyes, he's Scottish, so he probably wouldn't do it. But I mean, he would be one that would work well. Rodgers, maybe. Potter and Howe are too young. They're not going to go do that job right now.
Mm-hmm. Sorry about that, guys. My door went. Okay. Last thing, because I don't want to stream forever and a day, and I've got some more work to do, etc. Away from England, let's talk about who is everyone's favourite to win the World Cup. For me, I won't tell you who, but at the moment, I feel like this is as weak as I've seen international football for decades. I don't look at any of the countries now and go, wow, they're an absolute powerhouse. But you guys might think differently. Let me go. Kuva, have you got a favourite for the World Cup? Does anyone stand out to you?
Yeah, for me, Brazil are just starting to look the part at the right time.
Okay.
They had a very poor few years, quite in recent times, culminating with that absolute mauling they took off Germany in the World Cup semi-finals. But since then, they've been rebuilding, and the players are starting to fit into place now. They got some very talented young players in that squad. The heat is going to be fine outside the stadiums. We know the stadiums will be well ventilated and everything, but just being in that kind of heat the rest of the time, they'll be used to it anyway. Some of the European teams will be coming over, perhaps not coping quite so well with it all, just in general. I think Brazil have got something about them. Argentina too. Could it be Messi's final roll of the dice at international level to actually take the big prize at the end? Possibly. They certainly got talented players. We love Romero ourselves. We know the sort of players they've got there. I think you can never rule out the likes of Germany. Belgium have got a strong team still. There's a few. I just don't see us as one of them.
Okay. So am I taking your answer from that to be Brazil?
Brazil, I'd go for
Brazil. Yeah. Okay. Will Stewart, is this the USA year for the World Cup, or have you got a favourite up your sleeve?
Not this year. 20.
This year. Okay, the next one.
Yeah, 2030, I think.
2030.
2026. We're hosting 2026, so we'll probably reach the semifinal there. We haven't lost a home match against anybody in a long time. I think even the last time we played Brazil, we beat them 2-1 in the United States. So that was years and years ago.
Yeah.
But like for this year though, it's a tough one. I think there's a lot of teams. I think Brazil looks strong. Argentina looks strong. I think it's probably going to be. I think France on paper maybe has the best team, but they're not playing well. I don't even think Belgium's really playing that well, to be honest with you, right now. At least not in the Nations League. And then I think Portugal's kind of a dark horse that may come up and see it. They've got a lot of young guys, Neves, Ronaldo, Jota, Fernandez, who are starting to catch form in the league. They've got good center backs. They got Jose Sa playing keeper. There's a lot of. They got a lot of talent, and I think that they're a team that, with a leader like Ronaldo, could probably make a pretty decent showing. It's a tough one this year, man. No one really stands out for me, but those would be my three biggest things. I would say Portugal, Argentina, or Brazil. That's
I'm going to have to push you for one, Will.
Push me for one, just to piss off Marcelo and Thiago. I'm going to say Argentina.
Super. Love
Good
that.
point.
Bob, what are we saying? I know you want to chuck England in the mix. I know you're going to make a fight for it. What as Will Stewart brings out the Argentina scarf. There it is. Right. So far, Bob, everyone's going South America. Are you going to put forward someone from Europe or from one of the other continents?
100% England. I'm gonna go with England, man. I mean, and to an extent, yourself and Will kind of back it up by saying there's no really. Listen, the reason why I went Spurs to finish fourth back in October was purely and simply, or December, was purely and simply the rest of the challengers were crap. There wasn't an outstanding. The Man Uniteds, the Chelseas were going a bit haywire. The Leicesters, everyone around us, the Arsenals were rubbish, and there wasn't a standout. I'm like, look, we've got the players. We've got the players to take advantage of what is going to be a top four challenge. Let's go and do it. I expect us to finish fourth. We've got the players to take advantage of the world, the national teams who aren't on top of the game. It's up to Southgate to bring it to the fore and do it and show it. So for me, hand on heart, England will win the World Cup.
And they're going to win the final 4-1, right, Bob?
Yeah, 4-1, yeah.
So just quickly before I give my prediction, just to say we are going to be wrapping up in a second, but thank you everyone in the messages. If we could just have one last push, please, on likes and subscribers, that would be very much appreciated. Look, guys, it's been brilliant, but I'm just going to round off by saying this. I personally think Argentina will win it. I think that they are solid at the back. If I'm not wrong, they haven't lost a game for, I want to say 3 years, but I completely could be making that up. I know that it's a long time, 11 clean sheets in a row or something again like that. I feel like this is Messi's last hurrah. Like Kuva said, I think this is going to be his last chance at a World Cup. And I feel they've just got a fantastic squad. The South American heat. Listen, I think most people would like seeing them win it. I think England have got as good a squad as any. I think, but just for what we talked about earlier, England aren't going to not win the World Cup because of the players. I truly believe it's because of the brand of football and the lack of flair players that Southgate continues to play, unless he suddenly has a brain fart and realizes that he needs to take some of these fair players. So, look, I'm going to go with Argentina. I think, Kuva, you went for Brazil. Will's gone for Argentina and Bob Spurs gone for England. You know it now. We're all going to be wrong. You know it's going to be someone completely left field, like I've seen lots of people are talking about Senegal, right? Just quickly before we go, what's this sudden urge for people to be backing Senegal?
Because they think that because of the names like Mane and stuff like that, that the African teams are big. I've got a lot of people that
and they won the African Cup as well, didn't they?
Yeah, people think that the CAF is a big confederation or whatever, even though the U.S. smoked their second place team, Morocco 3-0. Mexico's battering their third place team 2-0. Korea is rocking Egypt 4-1. Like the CAF isn't as big as people think. It's overhyped, in my opinion.
Okay. So, guys, listen, thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who's been in the show. All I know is that Mo Salah's not going to be at the World Cup.
Yep.
Erling Haaland's not going to be at the World Cup. Those boys will probably be sitting at home in their dressing gowns, keeping fit for when the season starts. So, should be interesting. And by the way, I did watch some of the African Cup of Nations, and I know Senegal won, but there's not one bit of me that watches them and goes, "Oh, they're a dark horse." I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not going with that.
100%.
But guys, thank you so much. Listen, I'll catch you guys soon. Bob, I'll come back on your crazy show.
Are you sure? I thought you'd be put off for life.
No, I wasn't quite ready with my puns and my one-liners. I need to get better with that. But guys, listen, it has been great. Hopefully, we'll be able to celebrate a new signing soon. I'm getting greedy now, but thank you very much. Are you streaming anytime soon, Kuva, that you want anyone to know about?
Let's think. On when have we got? I'm going on with Bobby K on the 3 Spurs boys, and that will be Saturday 1 p.m. our time, I believe. I'll just check that. Yep, Saturday 1 p.m.
Saturday. If anyone's available, check in and listen, and of course, go over to everybody's channels and lock in. Will, what are your plans for streaming, mate? You got anything coming up?
I don't have anything for myself until probably Friday evening, I think. I'm going to go Friday night, 7 p.m. my time, which is about 11 p.m. UK time, right? No. Yeah.
Are you EST?
I'm Eastern time, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're 5 hours, so it'd be about midnight our time. So we'll all tune in. We'll all be awake. Don't worry, we'll all be awake.
Yeah, and this is like, apparently, just for people to know, last time Argentina lost was against Venezuela on March 22nd, 2019. So
2019.
Yeah, 2019.
Wow, that's a long run. Bob Spur streaming anything? To sell?
The usual, mate. 10:45 p.m. Saturday night in the wall. We'll be doing conspiracy theories. Guess the movie via posters. Guess a movie poster, of course, Wonkety Wonk, things up to say on a first dinner date. What was that? And the fact that Kuva saying I'll be with Bobby on 3 Spurs boys will have a different meaning altogether on my show kind of suggests what kind of show I do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. Well, guys, listen, it's been absolutely brilliant. I better go and do some work. Much love. Thanks to everyone in the comments, and I'll see you all soon.
Cheers, Savva.
Take care, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, lads.